tape. What's grind? What's the tape? We do it a little bit different around here.
We ain't gonna play. We ain't gonna play. Shut up and grind the tape.
What's grind?
We ain't gonna play. We ain't gonna play. Them dogs in your face.
What's grind?
We ain't gonna play. We ain't gonna play. Shut up and grind the tape.
What's grind?
We ain't gonna play. We ain't gonna play. Them dogs in your face. Shut up and grind.
What's grind?
Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape.
The tape. What's grind?
Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Shut up and grind. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape.
The tape.
Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro.
The tape.
UGA game day, boy, we ball out. Pull up, put the whole conference in the doghouse. Leave them 6 feet, see me on the win streak. All-star status, go coach and the bench deep. Offense on 10, how we run it? Your best ain't nothing, we gon' send them boys punting. Black and red, got them dead on arrival. Defense hunker down for the tie. Hey, you don't want it with the dogs. Found guy on it, you don't want it with my dog. Break it down, play by play, that's the day-to-day. They know we ain't come to play, boy, it's UGA. Kirby smart, I cannot play the fool. Back to back, we did not come to lose. Back to back like we got something to prove. Pay your dues, dog nation on the move. What's up?
We do it a little bit different around here.
We ain't gonna play, we ain't gonna play. Shut up and grind the tape.
The tape. The tape.
We ain't gonna play, we ain't gonna play. Them dogs in your face.
What's grind?
We ain't gonna play, we ain't gonna play. Shut up and grind the tape.
Shut up. What's grind?
We ain't gonna play, we ain't gonna play. Them dogs in your face. Shut up and grind.
What's grind?
Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape.
The tape. The
Shut
tape.
up and grind.
What's grind?
Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Shut up and grind.
What's
Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape. Shut up and grind. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro.
Shut up. The tape.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to MBR, or as we like to call it around here, Nothing But Rants, the show where I find topics that I'm oddly passionate about and I pontificate upon them. These are not hot takes, but rather takes that I'm hot about. What's up? You like that? You really like that?
Let's shut up and grind some tape.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome in to the Film Guy Network on a fabulous Tuesday evening here on the network. As always, we got a loaded show for you guys tonight. Jay Will, right? Hey, go ahead and call your bookies today, okay? I don't know if we're in the state of Georgia, most of you folks, so y'all probably still doing that off-site gambling stuff. So go ahead and call your bookies today. Jay Will's got a lock for you on the G5 college football playoff contender for this year. We've also got our reactions to the Football Power Index rankings that came out today. A lot of people yelling at the computer. So that's what we're going to do this afternoon, or this evening, I should say. Will we see college football coaches potentially be fired after a playoff appearance? I think there is a potential for maybe that to happen at some point, but it's a spinoff on a sports topic that is very topical, I guess would be the word nowadays, with the New York Knicks having fired Tom Thibodeau today after the greatest Knicks season in like 20 years. We don't do much cross-pollination with other topics, but it got the wondering minds moving this afternoon. We also have a national nostalgic tape going on today that I'm super excited about as well. But I'm going to start tonight's show with a segment that is uniquely specific to this network. You see, we do more live streaming than anybody else in the college football internet show space, both in season and out of season. Whatever your favorite show is, whether it's us or anybody else, I can guarantee you we do more content on the live content, platform and live content side of things than anybody else. But during the season, what we are most known for, what we are actually named after, is our film work, right? We are the Film Guy Network. We get up on that board during the regular season and we do 10 hours of live streaming, but we also do about 10 hours of film content on this network as well. And it's film content across the spectrum of college football. We find ourselves diving in and studying concepts and schemes from across the world of college football. And what we find ourselves doing, at least me, I don't know about you guys as being the primary pupils, if you will, not only the producers, but pupils sitting in the studio while doing these film studies. I find myself every year becoming more and more infatuated with new schemes and new teams and new themes, if you will, not to do all the rhyming things here, but I find myself becoming infatuated with themes and schemes in football. Every single year, I have a long list of what I found myself talking over and over and over again about. And again, these were things that we stumbled upon on this network that I don't think anybody else was bumping up into unless they were really diving into football the way that we dive into football. I'm not saying other people don't love college football as much as we do, okay? Because there's plenty of content creators that certainly love this sport and treat it with the care and passion that you are required to do at the highest level in terms of analysis. But these types of things were only we were talking about and we were fascinated with, like this one right here. I felt by the end of the year, guys, I felt like we could have at least gone in front of a defensive staff and said, this is who Texas's offense is. This is what they are about. This is what is required to defend this system. You know they're going to be out of the eye or out of the pistol. You know they're going to be running wide zone. Off of that, we know they're going to be a post and deep over play action football team. In order to stop that, we know we're going to have to be able to stop wide zone. Probably going to have to do it out of a bare front, right? Produce two strong wide nines so they can't really get outside you. On top of that, we're going to have to mix middle field close, middle field open schemes on the back end, right? If he wants to turn his back to the defense as a quarterback, well, we better change the picture on him. Show him something when he looks at the line of scrimmage. When he turns his back to the defense and turns it back to us and gets his eyes back on the defense, we better give him something different, right? We felt like we had Texas pretty teed up. But whether or not you got good enough football players to actually stop it was a whole nother different discussion, right? So we talked about that all year last year. I felt like we were really fascinated with the change, and we were way ahead of it. The change offensively that Kalen DeBoer and his staff were going to have to go through with Jalen Milroe as their quarterback, right? We knew they were going to have to design a quarterback run game for really the first time in Kalen DeBoer's coaching career, like offensively, head coaching career, whatever you want to say. That was a very unique and brand new quarterback style of play for DeBoer last year. We watched them morph into a quarterback duo football team. They dominated out of 12 personnel running duo with the quarterback, almost asking their running backs to be lead blockers, right? Asking Jam Miller to really stick his nose in. We felt like that was something that was relatively impressive. And speaking of morphing, we watched that Tennessee offense last year, of course, lead the SEC in rushing yet again under Heupel, but doing it in a total different facet, right? They're a wide choice offense that wanted to live out of 11 personnel. Not last year. Last year, they were a 12 personnel football team that knew their quarterback wasn't very comfortable from within the pocket, so they became a play-action rollout team out of 12 personnel, really incorporating tight end lead blocking schemes and doing it in a very unique and new style for Tennessee. Not only on top of that, morphing into a defensive-led identity and football program, something that we noticed here on the network as well. The stats obviously poured that out and showed you that Tennessee was a top 10 defense, but how they went about it was totally different last year. We pointed to that on our network. I think everyone pointed to this, but the uniqueness and the style of offense that Penn State was running last year with Tyler Warren, I believe we called it a high school offense, right? Hey, this is our best Jimmy. To hell with the X's and O's. Let's get Jimmy the ball and let's figure out how to do it. That's what they were doing last year with Tyler Warren, and we were infatuated with that. We were in love with the Ohio State defense last year in the back end, right? Obviously, they add Caleb Downs, who we talk about on this network, and just how much we speak highly of that football player. But the style of zone match defense that they played last year, guys, they matched concepts in zone defense so quickly that to the layman and to the average viewer, they probably looked like they were playing two-man. They were not. They were a zone football team all year that zone matched so quickly they looked like a man-to-man football team. It was one of the best zone coverages that I'd seen played in college football in a long time. I loved watching Oklahoma throw the kitchen sink at Texas. Now, this is Venables. Venables does this year over year. I find it fun to watch just, hey, what's Venables? He does spend 2 weeks. What's he going to do to try to just throw everything he can at Texas? That's a fun one for me every year. And I loved watching Chip Kelly revamp that offensive run game at Ohio State. Obviously, they won a national title off throwing the football. It felt like they won a national title off Will Howard playing lights out and Jeremiah Smith being the best wide receiver in college football towards the end of the year last year. But they got there, okay, in my opinion, by revamping the run game, and that was only through the new additions of Chip Kelly schematically. What were other things that we were talking ad nauseum about last year that I was infatuated with? Do you remember?
I mean, we didn't really get to talk about it ad nauseum because we didn't really start breaking down their film until the playoffs arrived. But I thought Notre Dame's defense was something that we became very infatuated with.
The execution rates, both sides.
Specifically the corners. They were both locked down. That was fun to watch. And then also kind of like going into it, I remember evaluating their roster as a whole, and we couldn't really identify any true like future NFL difference makers on the front line of the defense, but yet they were still playing really sound football and, like you said, executing at a really high rate.
I thought they got to a national championship game through pure execution rates. They were a top 14 roster talent-wise last year, I think, and they finished number 2 overall through pure coaching and execution. More execution than coaching. Everyone at that level has really, really great coaching. Schematically, they're sound. I don't think any of them's got like just a goat that you can point to and go, that guy sucks, he needs to be fired at the highest levels. But they were executing at the highest rate in college football last year, I felt like.
Yeah.
I feel like we stumbled upon, why Auburn has such an issue, or at least is having such an issue under Hugh Freeze with turnover, and it's not because, Peyton Thorne bad. That
was one of those classic cases of I'm watching film, I have a real gut feeling about what's the problem, right? I'm watching Auburn film, and I'm watching Hugh Freeze ask this quarterback to turn his back, or turn his eyes and his chest to the left, while also being able to read the leverage on the corner back behind him to throw a hitch. So we're turning completely left, and then if we think that corner sagged off, now we got to turn all the way back right and throw a comeback. And I'm sitting there watching that going, oh my God. What are we asking? We're asking our quarterback to do way too much, and I'm watching time over time over time, a game after game after game of poor Peyton Thorne just being asked to do way too damn much and just bad shit happening over and over again. And my mindset was, wow, this RPO offense probably going to lead to a lot of tips, probably going to lead to a lot of bad reads, probably going to lead to a lot of preconceived notions pre-snap that get changed post-snap that we can't get ourselves out of because it's now. And I thought maybe this is a systemic problem. Maybe this is year over year, and come to find out, this dude's turned the ball over 20 times, I think 8 out of 13 seasons as a head coach. It is a Hugh Freeze problem.
Jackson Arnold isn't going to solve the problem?
Are we going to find out? That's what one of the to transition us, Jonathan, that is one of the main things I'm curious about studying this year, right? Which is what we're transitioning into. Things that I am most curious about studying going into the season. We're obviously going to stumble upon a bunch of these things. I didn't think some of these things going into last year were going to pop up on my purview, if you will. I had no idea that Tennessee was going to, convert themselves into a completely different version of a football team that's going to ultimately be at 10 wins. And I found myself infatuated with it, right? What are we going to find this year? I'm going to tell you going into it, that's a question I got. That's a question I got right there going into 2024 is about, what were we just talking about?
Things that you're excited to
but what
study.
was the specific one you had?
Jackson Arnold and Auburn.
Jackson Arnold. Is Jackson Arnold going to somehow solve 15 years worth of a turnover problem for Auburn? My mind tells me no. We'll find out what the film says about that. I know the wide receiver corps sure as shit good enough to not be RPOing our way down the field, though. Maybe we don't have to rely on that Auburn this year. Maybe he can actually put a legitimate system together. But then again, this is the same guy that I'm pretty sure coached Laquan Treadwell at Ole Miss.
That sounds right.
And was still RPOing the thing out there. So probably still going to be doing it at Auburn. Can Jackson Arnold be the magical elixir there? What say you guys? 15 years of historical data. This dude's system's turned it over. Is Jackson Arnold going to be the Messiah?
I'm going to say probably not.
Probably not.
That's the other thing I don't understand about Hugh Freeze's offense is there's been moments, and I feel like this offense is specifically one of those, and you hit on, I think, a couple of years at Ole Miss he had one, where it feels like you don't have to rely on RPO. Like, you have dudes, you have guys that can go win for you. Like, you don't have to add in these wrinkles into your offense to help you win on offense. Like, you got guys.
We ain't got to have all the answers. Sometimes the answers are within the players themselves. How about that? You know what I mean?
Nice.
You got dudes now, Hugh. Okay, so use the dudes. Don't be using the RPO.
Talking about
gimmicky stuff.
revamping recruiting classes.
Amen, brother.
How about we start using those?
Amen, brother. Top 10, 2 years in a row. Start using them. I'm really, really interested in what's going to happen at Oklahoma, right? Ben Arbuckle and John Mateer from the ear come over from Washington State. Now, Oklahoma Sooner fans listening to this today, you are not going to like what I'm about to say. Washington State's weapons were, I'm not going to say far better than what Oklahoma currently has or even had last year, but they were better, okay? They had, I think, a third-round draft pick at wide receiver last year. They had another 1,100-yard wide receiver. They had a tight end that could get loose. Washington State had real weapons last year. John Mateer had real weapons last year. He don't have that this year at Oklahoma. They didn't do much outside of add a kid from Arkansas Pine Bluff and betting on projections from guys like my man Burks from Purdue and my man, the other ex-receiver that they signed out of high school, believe wears number 4. Looks identical to Nick Anderson, but ain't Nick Anderson. Okay, so there's that. They're going to have to bank on a lot of production, but I'm super curious to see what the hell is this offense going to look like with these two dudes. Whoa. A big super sub from Blake Norman.
Yes, it is.
Indeed.
That's a showstopper. Shout out to Blake Norman. Says, I rarely make live streams, but appreciate the love. I appreciate and love the content. Go Dogs. What do you think is the next commit for 2026? Well, we'll get to it in just a little bit, but it was Justice Fitzpatrick for those of you joining us today and been burying your head in the sand for the last 45 minutes. Minkah Fitzpatrick's younger brother just committed to the University of Georgia. We're just going to call him Justice Fitzpatrick moving forward. He's no longer going to be Minkah's little brother. Okay?
I mean, Justice is shorter anyways.
It is.
Rolls off the tongue easier than Minka's little brother.
And just that we give him his own due.
Yeah, for
He's
sure.
earned his own right.
Yeah,
Speaking of earning your own right, how about that board for Blake Norman? Y'all continue. What were we talking about before Blake
Oklahoma.
Norman
Oklahoma,
rightfully
lack of
interrupted
weapons.
us? Yeah, Oklahoma's weapons I don't think are going to get suddenly better this year for them, but I'm super intrigued to see and study what Ben Arbuckle and John Mateer from the ear ultimately look like. My man Burton, what was it, Blake Burton?
Blake Norman.
Blake Norman. Thank you, Blake Norman. That's a tremendous gift right there from you, my man. Super chub, as we call it around here. Appreciate you, Blake. All right, so I'm curious to see what Ben Arbuckle and those guys over in Oklahoma do with John Mateer and the lack of weapons that they have. How are they going to manufacture explosive offense out there? What else am I super intrigued about? What will Georgia's offense look like?
Oh.
I mean, obviously.
Yeah.
Obviously, super intrigued to see what that looks like with a first-year starter in Gunnar Stockton. Not only that, but the new weapons as well. I know what kind of offense I would design. We'll talk about it a little bit more in the local hour. How does that Ohio State offense kind of adjust with the second experiment of Brian Hartline?
Yeah, that to me, that's the bigger question. Not even necessarily about what does Ohio State's offense look like, but
How long does this last?
is it actually Hartline's
Yeah.
offense? Is it actually him calling the shots this year,
Not
or
just-
is Ryan Day just going to take the reins himself again?
And it's not just, it's a Brian Hartline offense. It's a Brian Hartline offense that lost basically everything that contributed to it, with the exception of Jeremiah Smith last year.
Yeah.
Mecca Ibuka is gone. Travion Henderson's gone. Your quarterback's gone. Quinshon Judkins is gone.
I think Carnell Tate was a 600-yard receiver.
Carnell Tate was a
Yeah.
600-yard receiver. I mean, they're always going to have receivers. They're always going to have solid receivers. But the core pieces that made that team the national championship team at the end of the year, the majority of them are gone.
3 starting offensive linemen, 3 starting defensive linemen, 2 starting DBs.
Yep.
But it's Ohio State, dude.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's peel and replace up there, man. It's peel and replace. They got as many dudes as anybody else in the nation, maybe more, honestly, at this rate. So there's that. Will Lenoris Sellers take the step that I think he's going to?
Yeah.
From jump, are you going to be the dude that I think you are and even continue to get better? Because he's still very, very young. And speaking of that, there's a lot of guys that fit that kind of, mold. DJ Lagway played 7 or 8 starts last year.
Yep.
I think it was 6, actually. 6 starts played in 8 games. Are you going to take another step, right? I think you are. You got more talent than anybody playing the position right now, in my opinion. The most talented young quarterback prospect in the world is DJ Lagway, in my opinion. He can throw things and do things that other quarterbacks simply cannot. But are you going to take another step from a progression standpoint, from a reading and seeing the field standpoint? Are we going to stop making kind of goofy turnovers, and are we going to increase our completion percentage? But there are certain throws that guy makes that nobody else on the planet can do. Garrett Nussmeier, I think a lot of people forget because he's like 35, or at least feels like he's 35. last year was that guy's first year starting. He's going to, you presume, have some type of progression in his play. Marcel Reed, another one. That guy got a good lump. He took his lumps last year in this conference, had a position battle, fully him now. Like everyone, kind of looking to him in that organization. Interested to see what kind of a jump he has in year 2.
Yeah, I mean, we saw the type. Now, Garrett Nussmeier is not this, and we've gotten to see how good Jaden Daniels is, but we saw how big of a leap there was for Jaden Daniels in his second year with Brian Kelly in the LSU offense. So, again, not saying that you're going to see a Heisman-winning season from Garrett Nussmeier, but I think it's safe to assume that there is going to be progression there and there is going to be improvement for him.
And a lot of those guys we talked about, the Marcel Reeds, the Lenore Sellers, a lot of their issues last year were turnovers because you're panicking in a moment where you're not necessarily have the experience to get out of situations and you're trying to do too much. So you'd have to imagine that Marcel Reed going into his not second full year starting, but basically his second year starting, Lenore Sellers going into his second year, they're both going to improve tremendously just on the turnover aspect of it, which will help their offense tremendously.
Marion Campbell aging himself in the chat here. Who's the Pink Panther actor to you guys?
The Pink Panther I think of is the cartoon.
Yeah, the cartoon. I mean, the one with
I'm thinking of Steve Martin.
Steve Martin, yeah.
I don't even know who the Sellers cat is he's mentioning and trying to make a joke about in the chat. I guess that's the guy who played the original Jacques Cousteau. How about that?
Hey, that's a good one.
Not bad.
I can't believe Beyonce was in that movie. That's insane.
She was in an Austin Powers movie, too.
More crazy Beyonce cameo. That one in Pink Panther or the idea that she let a little person hump her leg in Austin Powers?
Definitely the latter.
Yeah.
Right?
Definitely.
Did you see the Mike Myers news? Apparently, he was working with the CIA for around the Diddy parties and stuff. All right. We're getting so off topic here.
I mean, I'm fine with it. It's a Tuesday in June.
Yeah, I mean,
Mike Myers was a CIA operative.
Not an operative, apparently he was an informant and
an operative.
Met with them multiple times. Yeah,
they sent him to the Diddy party.
We got a new Diddy counter going right now.
That's crazy.
Yeah, he's the OG.
Did he wear
Diddy
disguises?
Counter.
Did he show up as Dr. Evil?
Maybe. Ooh, that would have been funny.
Where's the baby oil?
Oh, hell no. But no, another one that I think we talked about how Kalen DeBoer's offenses are going to transition because Jalen Murrow kind of puts you in a bind of what you have to be as an offense. I think you're going to kind of see them morph back into what a Kalen DeBoer offense traditionally looks like. Not to mention he got his OC back. So I'm going to be interested to watch that throughout the year and study that.
I'll be studying from jump just how much better Arch is than what I thought of Quinn. Is he that much better,
I'll be interested to see how differently Sark operates that offense, knowing that he's got a quarterback that's somewhat mobile, one that we would assume has a stronger arm and things like that. So I'll be interested because, I mean, the Steve Sarkisian offense has always revolved around Quinn Ewers. Quinn Ewers has been the guy since Sark got there. So I'll be very interested to see what it looks like without.
You don't remember the Hudson Card days?
I mean, I remember the Hudson Card days, when Quinn Ewers got injured in that Alabama game and stuff like that. But the offensive system has always kind of been built around Quinn Ewers.
Stick on the QB theme. Bryce Underwood, we just assume, is going to be the starter at Michigan.
I mean, it seems like it, unless Jaden Davis is quietly waiting around.
They sent the dude out there to be on the cover of NCAA and paid him $10 million.
Yeah.
You can't not play that guy.
No.
He will start.
I mean, Miss Oracle and Mr. Barstool will have your hide by game 2 if Bryce Underwood's not starting.
Mm-hmm.
So my question becomes, what kind of lumps is he going to take? What kind of growing pains is Bryce Underwood going to have this year as a true freshman? We also don't believe that Michigan roster around Bryce Underwood is high end right now.
Yeah, no.
On that middle tier, slightly above USC.
It's a top
in the
25.
Big Ten?
It's a top 25 roster,
yeah.
and it's not a playoff roster. It's a top 25 roster.
But even then, even when they won the national title, offensively speaking, they weren't just relying on a whole lot of weapons. They had Blake Corum and they had Edwards, but it was Roman Wilson. That was really your reliable target in the offense. And then last year, that kind of popped up a little bit on top of some quarterback issues. So I guess the best thing about Bryce Underwood is how much of that can he alleviate himself? Because that's kind of what people expect him to be, is a Lenore Sellers-esque type of player of
play creator and explosive threat at all times.
He can create on his own and do a lot of things for an offense.
The most impressive thing I saw about the guy in his high school career was not only was he the number one quarterback in America, but when his team needed him to, he would flip over and play safety.
It's a big safety.
And, like, play a mean safety.
Dual threat, baby.
Like, force fumbles, sticking his nose in. Like, he's a ball player from Detroit, Michigan. He's a guy.
One of them ones.
Yeah.
That'd be the coolest two-way player ever in college football history, right? A quarterback and a safety.
Quarterback and a safety? Yeah.
That'd be the coolest thing ever.
Yeah. Travis Hunter would just, like, disappear into the ether.
He'd be a trailblazer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
He'd be looked at as like the first one to do it. Before there was so-and-so, there was Travis Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
But he would also be you think Travis Hunter was cool. Wait till you see this.
Yeah, right. That's what a
So,
trailblazer is.
Well, a trailblazer is like set the tone, did it first, and he did. But what happens when the guy who comes after the trail just like makes it way bigger because he did it way cooler, which a quarterback and a safety would do.
Yeah.
You blazed a small trail. Other dude came through and cleared the woods.
So he's still a trailblazer.
I guess.
Okay.
He cracked the seam into it. A quarterback safety would just part the Red Sea in that thing.
I mean, I guess we are talking about a guy that won the Heisman as a two-way player, though. It's not
Yeah,
like
but-
Travis Hunter's like doing, Jabril Peppers was like, yeah, I'll take some handoffs and do a backflip. Like
You're
he
right.
was playing both ways. He's
You're
a
right.
trailblazer.
You're right. But
Speaking of, he's not on that roster this year. Neither is Shedeur Sanders. I'm very interested to see what Colorado does offensively.
you gonna be studying Colorado tape?
You'll be interested for a couple weeks.
You be grinding Buffalo tape this year?
I mean, yeah, why not?
I can tell you why not.
It's probably not going to be good, but
Yeah, more pressing matters would be why not over here on this end.
I mean, the
I am curious.
quarterback battle is going to be interesting to follow for them with
Yeah.
Julian Lewis and the guy they got from Liberty. I'm blanking on his name right now.
Caden Salter.
Caden Salter. But I mean, that's
Ball
going
knower.
it's going to be interesting to watch for the first few weeks. And hey, if they start out pretty well, they've got a pretty decent game week one, don't they?
Yes.
It's against Georgia Tech.
Yes. Against
So I mean,
Georgia Tech.
that'll be a fun game to watch. That'll be something to pay attention to, especially if you're a Georgia fan.
We already got all mine. We talked about Hugh Freeze first.
No Clemson mention. Really not interested.
It's not really changing.
That's the thing is
Yeah,
I don't think it's
nothing
really
about-
going to change
nothing
that
about
much.
that is new to me.
Other than looking for
I will say
continued
this.
improvement for Cade
I
Klubnik.
love the way Cade far more. I don't hear about guys worrying about their mechanics most of the time until they get to the league. But Cade has been very clearly and very outspoken about how much he has developed and continued to develop up his throwing motion. And I've seen multiple, and it's all social media stuff. This isn't me like paying attention like super closely to what Cade's talking about, but I've seen a half dozen clips over the last 6-7 months of Cade talking about his mechanics, talking about the way his body moves, talking about his motion, talking about finding ways to become more and more accurate. And this is a football player who, in my opinion, is already extremely accurate. When I watch him play the position, now I know he had some dreadful misses against Georgia early on in that football game, but when you watched him towards the end of the season, there were fewer down the field, more accurate and big time throw makers in college football last year than Cade Klubnik. So I am interested to see what it looks like. But the rest of nothing about Clemson, in my opinion, has changed.
There's not going to be anything to study. It'll just be something to watch
Yeah,
and look at
for sure.
Like how much better has Bryant Westco gotten? I'm curious.
Yeah.
Like schematically, they're not going to change much.
For sure.
How are they going to hide the running back issues and the depth issues? I believe they moved a wide receiver to running back, and he's going to help out there or do a Dylan Bell type dual role, playing both type thing. He did that in the playoff game for them as well. But what is it going to look like? I think it's going to be the same. Mm-hmm. So I'm not super curious about
Yeah, I got you.
I am curious to see how much, not schematically had an effect, but just how much of a output effect Cam Scatterbo had on Arizona State's offense.
Yeah.
Because it felt like we watched the Big 12 championship. We watched them against Texas. It very much felt like at some point in the game it was just like, you know what, let's just give him the ball and see what happens.
Everything about their offense efficiency has now changed, and everything about their play calling from the 50-yard line in has now changed.
Yep.
They were a 4-down territory football team the moment they crossed the 50 because they knew they had Scatterbo on 4th and 2. It's a total different situation. 3rd and 5 now changes, right? What we're doing on those situations as a play call completely changes. But, I mean, there's like dating back to his days at Florida State, there are a few offensive coordinators I've had more fun studying than Kenny Dillingham. I know he's the head coach now, but he still has a very, very strong role in what they're doing offensively.
Very much so.
That guy was so fun at Florida State with Jordan Travis for a year, and then he lit it the fuck up at Memphis too. He was so fun at Oregon with 1 year at Bo Nix, and he's been fun at Arizona State as well. So he'll find ways. And the other thing that I love about what he does is he accentuates specific players. His best players will be fed. They'll be force-fed. That wide receiver at Arizona State is going to go off this year.
Yeah, he was a sophomore last year, went
Yeah.
for over 1,000.
Yeah, he's going to go off. 6'3", 200 pounds. Where's a single digit? He a guy. He a guy.
The number is the real tilting of the scale.
Right? You rocking the Uno, dude.
You got to do it right.
You got to. They don't let scrubs wear 1.
I'm trying to think of who the worst
scouting
player
tip.
to wear number 1 is. We don't have to say any names.
The worst?
Yeah.
Brent Cox.
Not a bad shout. Didn't Jamison Williams wear 1 in that Ohio State wide receiver core that he didn't play for, and then transferred?
Maybe.
I can't even remember.
And he would have been the
to be
worst
honest.
in that group.
Fair.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't.
But he wasn't dog
bad.
shit.
He wasn't
Yeah,
bad.
he wasn't shit.
Some argue that if he doesn't get
There's a
injured.
very famous JF that wore 1.
Also didn't end up sucking.
Also was not bad.
No. But I think he did most of his ball. No, he wore 1 at Ohio State.
Peyton Thorne wore 1.
Yeah.
But that's Hugh Freeze's fault. That's not his
Freeze's
fault. It's not his own fault.
Yeah.
It's okay, Peyton. It's not on you, brother.
This is a good sports theory. You just got to be a dude to wear 1.
Yeah.
I can't think off the top of my head of looking at.
I think they really fudged it up with allowing normal dudes to wear 0 when it first got introduced. Like, that should have been treated with higher regard. You know what I'm saying? We can't just let backup third-string linebackers wear 0.
Whoa.
No
Unnecessary
offense to-
Ryan
no,
Davis shot.
I was actually taking a shot at Troy Bowles just now, but
Oh.
hey, point proven. Ryan Davis into Troy Bowles. Come on, we could have done the 0 a little bit better than that.
Darnell Washington started it off high.
Big
Yeah.
0.
Big O.
Big O.
Man, what are we doing?
I'm saying.
Can't be handing it out to anybody.
The no dig got to be great.
I think
You
we
out
need.
here in a non-digit, that's crazy.
I think we need to utilize.
Isn't it an integral? It's not technically a digit. It's an integral, right?
Yeah, I think we need to utilize double zeros more. I don't see.
No.
Bro, a lineman wearing
No,
double zero?
No.
A lineman?
No, can't do it.
D lineman?
I don't know about that.
Anyway.
FPI rankings came out today.
Yes,
Yes,
they did.
People mad at a computer.
Dude.
I saw you tweeting about this today. You don't tweet very often, but you had opinions about
Dude,
this
well,
today.
because we wrote stuff for the sites about how, FPI is doing this, and these are the predictions for the sites that we cover. And all I see about anyone who tweets about the FPI, anyone who said, hey, here's the FPI list, all of these tweets are basically people bitching and complaining and saying, oh, here's the SEC bias. Wow. ESPN's propped up by the SEC. They have a deal together. They're all peddling and carrying water for the two. And you look back at it, these people clearly don't understand how the FPI works.
Yeah.
It is a computer algorithm that takes a bunch of equations and numbers from separate teams, their rankings, their rosters, all of these things, throws it into one big formula, simulates, I believe it's 10,000, maybe 20,000 games, and then says, here are the results, and these are our predictions based on the results. There's no bias here. It's all math. It's like being mad at...
No, it's biased.
It's like being mad
It's
and
an
saying...
ESPN product, and ESPN, they have a contract with the SEC. It's biased.
It'd be like if I came out and said...
This is big SEC media.
Now,
That's what this is.
I know for a fact this is all computer and not biased because Arkansas was number 22 on this list, and that is the only way Arkansas cracks the top 25.
If a computer was involved?
Yeah, if a computer just got numbers and was like, here you go, there's no bias that says SEC so good, Arkansas, 22nd best team in the country.
And,
Also-
and there are some real critiques you can have for this FPI. I think we all listed them. Like, there's a lot of teams that, are not the 15th best in the country or so on. But to say it's a bias is ridiculous.
You know what my favorite part about the FBI rankings are? Is they tell us that a top 20 football team could potentially go 6-5 or 6-6. A 14th ranked, I think it is, Florida Gators What are they? They're 18th on this. They're projected to go 6-4.
I mean,
right? Because the computer recognizes what I recognize and what you guys seem to recognize, which is good football players matter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I got into a tizzy with all the Big Ten fans about this today. I think it is crazy that people think I'm an idiot for thinking that good players are an indication of potential success. Like, Big Ten fans are like, oh, tell me why you think Auburn's going to be good in a couple years outside of recruiting rankings. Tell me something other than recruiting rankings. And I'm like, so I'm the idiot. I'm the idiot for thinking that because they have put together 48 of the best football players in the country in the last 2 classes, and eventually those guys will be on the field for Auburn, that Auburn might maybe one day be good, and or at least has a better chance of being good than, I don't know, Minnesota, who's recruited in the 40 ranges the last 4 years. Like, I'm the idiot. I'm the one who has bias. No, I'm the one who just looks at it and says, all right, where are the best players in football going right now? Well, they're going to about 5 or 6 Big Ten schools, and they're going to about 9 or 10 SEC schools, and then they're sprinkled between a couple of ACC schools. That's it. I don't think it's that. Yeah, like I just described the blue chip ratio, which everybody agrees with. When they put it up, they're like, yep, got to have great players to win a national title. I mean, shit, you got to win 16 games. Nah, SEC bias guy. He just loves Southern football.
Is that what Northerners sound like to you?
To me, yeah. To me, they're like, they can't wrap their heads around the idea that investing nowadays, spending money nowadays, means something. Yeah, you guys all agree with this. This is why the Big Ten's winning national titles now, because you're able to pay like the SEC teams are. And when I apply that to the fact that Rutgers ain't out here paying like Oklahoma, y'all just want to tell me that Oklahoma was a 6-win football team last year and they lost to Navy, and that's all you want to throw at me. You know what I'm saying? It's a spinning circle of arguments right here with some of these Northerners.
Damn, dude, this is like becoming like a Civil War podcast at this point. I mean, it boils down to the fact that
I don't like the side that you just put me on in that Civil War.
The American Revolution.
I didn't put you on the side, man. I just labeled it. You can be you want it.
You pick the side, all right?
I mean, shit. In football, riding with the South.
No, but
that whole Civil War thing, them Northerners had a point.
You didn't have to pick that side.
But no, it boils down to like being
a solid point. About I want to double down on the fact that the Northerners had the solid point. I'm glad they won. Jesus. Making me nervous.
Trying to clear out the allegations. No, but what I'm saying is like Northern Big Ten fans are very proud of their conference. They're very proud to play in that. It boils down to that. You have this and you have the SEC. These two are going to clash, and there's always going to be a bias in these arguments. I've noticed anyone who says or claims that there is a quote-unquote bias to the Big Ten or a bias towards the SEC has a bias in their own regard, in that you're typically a Big Ten person saying that the SEC is, you know, the cream of the crop or whatever, that everyone loves that. Or you're an SEC team saying, oh, there's a bias towards the Big Ten.
It's a subjective argument. Isn't that the right one? Where there's not actual physical data to correctly point to one side or the other.
Yeah.
Right? You're picking a side. Therefore, you have an internal bias about why you pick that side. So whichever side you lie on in this argument of does the SEC actually have a supremacy to the sport, you have some type of inherent bias towards that argument. My bias and reasoning behind thinking the SEC does indeed play tougher schedules, the SEC is indeed a better conference, is because they have better players. That's the only reason I believe that. It's not because they have better coaches. It's not because they have better wins and losses. It doesn't even have anything to do with these interconference rankings that you guys do or interconference schedules that you guys do, because half of those come through bowl games, which we all know don't mean a hill of freaking beans nowadays. So I don't know why y'all keep throwing wins and losses in bowl games at me. They don't matter. We know that. The last 10 years of the sport tell me that. But my bias towards the SEC has nothing to do with anything other than they got better players.
And they have better access
Top to bottom, they have better players.
They have better access to players,
That too.
I mean, every year we see the graphic of this amount of NFL players came from the state of Texas, Georgia, Florida. California's in there too, but again, the Northerners don't have access to that either unless you're Oregon or USC. And, you know, they're Big Ten schools. But
And that's the other thing that I don't push back on. The top of the Big Ten is just as good as anybody in the SEC.
Yeah, it's interchangeable.
No one's arguing that Ohio State has the ability to win a national title. No one's arguing that Oregon can do it, that Michigan can do it, that Penn State's got the budget to do it, that USC has the budget to do this. No one's arguing that. It's just the idea that y'all have Purdue, Rutgers, Northwestern, Nebraska, who's never going to win a national title as long as I'm alive, I believe, right? Iowa, all right? There's a lot more of these than just Mississippi State, Vandy, and Kentucky. You know what I mean? There's just more of them.
I do think it's interesting to see how, like, the media perspective of some football teams and the contradiction of that to the betting odds or the betting win total or even the FPI projections. Like, people are kind of obviously stepping back on Tennessee, yet they're projected to be the fourth best team in the SEC this year, despite being projected to win 7 games this year by the FPI model. So I think that's interesting to see the contradiction between this is what everybody feels like. Like South Carolina, for an example, is continued to be hammered as a potential playoff team this year. Yeah, win total predictions and also the FPI are saying 6-6, 7-5.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you right now, this computer thinks James Franklin's a fraud.
How so?
I mean, they got James Franklin preseason ranked, what, 5th right here? Going 10-2.
That's not fraud.
I mean, they think he's going to lose some football games he shouldn't.
10-2 is the best record anyone can have on the schedule.
But they're ranked 5th, Kirby. That's what I'm talking about. Just let me get my fraud joke off with the computer, please.
Go ahead.
Jesus, man. Don't poke holes in my joke. What else I got takeaways on here?
Undefeated
Clemson a bit lower than
early.
I thought. In terms of just playoff projection percentages, they had them at like 40%. I got them a 75% chance to win the ACC. Or at least get out of the ACC into the playoff. They're going to take 2 out of the ACC.
You think that's just guaranteed?
I think it's guaranteed that Clemson's a 10-2.
No, I'm saying that they take 2.
They have a 40.
If Clemson goes 11-1 and gets to the ACC playoff or championship game and loses, they're getting into the playoff.
Yeah, they have a 47% chance to get in the playoff.
Yeah, I think it's higher.
34
like
to win the
75.
conference.
It was like 75%.
You think so?
They're going to be in the playoff.
Perhaps.
Miami at 46, right behind them.
That
too.
was crazy to me. That's a little too
Wild.
high. A little rich on Miami for me.
Yeah, I'm not.
I mean,
buying that one.
that's the
ACC.
someone's got to win the ACC.
I'm with you.
If it's not Clemson, it's going to be either Miami or who else? SMU. Yeah, so I mean that's why you're going to see a bump from these lesser tier conference. For God's sakes, Kansas State is the 21st team ranked, and they have a 20% chance of making the playoff. So it makes sense.
Welcome to Big 12 football.
Mm-hmm.
All
That
right.
was another takeaway I had from that is that the Big 12 sucks. The highest ranked team is in 21st.
I don't know which one I want to put a shitload of money on, but Florida or Oklahoma is going to beat the hell out of these win projections, both on FPI and in Vegas. One of them. And I'm probably leaning towards Oklahoma because of the schedule.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
But
Both schedules are a bitch.
Both schedules are a bitch, but Florida's is tougher in my opinion. 6.5's the line on both these football teams. One of them's going 7-5.
Yeah,
Who would you bet on?
Oklahoma.
I think so too.
I expect them to, because Florida, I know they're going to be good offensively. Too many questions on defense. I know there's a lot of questions for Oklahoma's offense, but I have more trust in their schedule and what they are expected to be as opposed to what could potentially happen to Florida this year.
Dude, they've got a pretty murderer's rowish schedule.
Yeah.
Michigan, Auburn, and then here's how they close out the season in order. Texas, at South Carolina, Ole Miss, at Tennessee, at Bama, versus Missouri, versus LSU.
Shit.
Well,
That
there's your
might
5
be
losses.
hard. That might be harder than Florida's schedule.
Hey, listening to that, they should probably play 9 conference games.
Man, if only they had Georgia mixed into that.
You know?
I mean,
Dude,
They
I've
should
been-
probably have to play 9. I mean, it's only fair. That schedule's not hard enough.
you
I mean,
couldn't
that
throw
that game against Tulane in November.
Dude,
it couldn't throw
we had-
Texas A&M in there too.
You
Like
know,
what the
couldn't
hell?
get UTSA on that.
Man,
such an easy solution is tell the Big Ten, and they're not going to do this. Tell every Power 4 conference do 8 conference games, 8 conference schedule games. Save that 9th spot so you can play a Big Ten team or an SEC team or an ACC team, so you can stop bitching at each other from the other side of the fence and actually play in the regular season.
You know what we didn't even throw into this equation? We've obviously hit on the 1 through 10 way tougher in the SEC than the 1 through 10 in the Big Ten. We've talked about that. But you know what else just somehow goes by the wayside in this? They got 18 teams over there. They got 2 more conference members, which means, yeah, they probably should play an extra conference game. I know it's not that many more, but here's the deal. If the SEC goes to 9 and they're only pulling from a pool of 16, the odds that you play one of those really, really good teams are drastically higher than that of the Big Ten. I know, it's just, simple math here. 9 pick 16, odds are a little bit different than 9 pick 18.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't really give a shit about the SEC, but I will say objectively, it's a harder conference to win in consistently than the Big Ten.
Absolutely.
That doesn't mean it's a better conference. It doesn't mean it's more quality. It doesn't mean there should be, more auto bids than the Big Ten. But
you know who should be sick to their tummy looking at these wins projections on FPI? Oh, if you're a Bayou Bengal right about now, looking at ESPN's FPI telling you you're going to win 8 football games make your tummy hurt. What were year 4 of the Brian Kelly experience?
Yes.
And we're going to roll out of 8-4?
Can't do that.
Actually, 7.9 wins. We ain't even guaranteed to get 8.
Might be fighting for our lives in rivalry week.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd feel good about that.
Yeah, that would definitely be a big disappointment if that's what you roll out. But again, I mean, they had freaking Jane Daniels and they went 8-4.
That's true.
And they also opened the season with Clemson, so they have a pretty difficult schedule.
Oh yeah, it's brutal.
Mm-hmm.
They play a 9th conference game though. You sorry sexist.
But they get a night game against UMass, so it's okay.
That's right.
That's the difference maker.
That's right. That's Halloween weekend probably too.
That's prime time night game.
Bro, these assholes get 3 night games in a row.
Yes.
Yeah, it's LSU. It looks pretty on TV.
You have to.
What the hell?
Some bitches played Army at night last year. Out here, no thank you for your service. 55 on your head top.
I'm
on primetime television.
Look, Death Valley is a great environment, I'm sure. I have not been personally, but only heard great things about it. You fans have to be a little sick and tired of having to wait around all day just to watch LSU beat up on Army.
No.
Come on, dude. You get to tailgate, watch good football, and then leave at halftime, get home by midnight.
3 weeks in a row
That's
of night
ideal.
games. Now, there's some good ones, I'm sure, but 3 weeks in a row, and that third one, if it were to be an Army-type team, you're telling me you're not just like, God, a nooner would be kind of nice right about
How
now.
about 3 weeks in a row, the third one culminating in Tulane, and then the 4th night game's Alabama, and you lose 42-3.
That was tough. But, dude, honestly, it's probably the fact that a noon kick in the Bayou, you would probably have 30 people die of heat stroke in that stadium.
Well, it's also at 11 a.m. there. It's not a true
Yeah,
noon
it's
kickoff.
right. I mean, it's a 6:30 kick here. Well, it's a night kick. But still.
Spoken out of jealousy more than anything.
My favorite is when Big Noon Kickoff goes to Colorado, and it's a 10 a.m. local kick.
Oh, jeez.
That's awesome.
Crazy.
The stoners are just waking up.
Yeah.
Wake and bake. Get it rolling, baby.
Any other observations about this FPI?
I mean, undefeated regular seasons are gone, according to this.
Yeah.
Like, the highest win total, the highest win projection is Texas and Ohio State at 10.4 games. 10.4 and 2. So, I mean, we're done with, the 12-0s. Even Oregon, who we all have said is a very easy schedule, very manageable, they're 10 flat, 10-2 easy. So, like
Buddy, if Dan Lanning loses 2 regular season games this year, Dante Moore must be booty cheeks. That schedule is.
They play 9 games.
play a
9
night game,
conference games,
a
though.
night game wideout in Penn State.
Hard stop. That's it.
I mean, yeah, they shouldn't lose more than one game. But
Is the second toughest game on that schedule Oklahoma State?
I can tell you in 10 seconds.
Go Pokes.
I mean, honest to God.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
A tough road game against Washington?
That might be the next one. There's nothing on that schedule.
On the road at Penn State, they play Indiana after that, at Rutgers, versus Wisconsin, at Iowa, versus Minnesota, USC, close the season at Washington.
Man.
So, I mean, USC, Washington are...
Murderers Row out there in the Big Ten.
God, I mean, they're just going to be fighting for their lives in November when they got to play that 9th
You know what they should do?
game.
They should play 10 conference games.
Jeez. Put all of them on the schedule.
Jesus,
play
dude.
everybody.
Now, I mean, in fairness, we did say routinely that Oregon got perhaps the easiest draw out of any team in the Big Ten.
Rolled it out for them.
Well, you know what happens, Kirby, when you have 18 conference members and only 6 of them are worth a salt in football. Odds are you're going to get a good slate every once in a while.
I mean, even Missouri last year, we knew their schedule was easy, they still had to play South Carolina, Alabama, Oklahoma. It was still like easiest schedule in the SEC, but it wasn't just like, here's the bottom 8 teams, buddy. Go get them.
Yeah.
That'd be cheese.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to remember correct because I felt like Texas got a pretty easy rollout, but Michigan, Oklahoma.
Texas and Missouri had the easiest SEC schedules last year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Texas had to play Georgia, and Missouri had to play Alabama. Missouri had to play South Carolina.
But again, they played Michigan in week 2. Why can't we see more of those? Now, we're going to get Texas, Ohio State in week 1, but why can't we get that universally for SEC teams?
If the moment Tony Batiti agrees to let the SEC stay at 8, I guarantee you're going to see crossover games. But if Tony Batiti wants to sit here and continue to throw grenades over the common fence and say that the SEC should be playing 9 games, and, by the way, we want you to play 9 games and do a contractual agreement to cross over with us, Greg Sankey, rightfully so, should tell him to stick it up where it don't shine. Absolutely not. Why are you looking at me like that?
No, I agree. There's no reason at all for the SEC to go to 9 conference
Well, there is
games.
because strength of schedules are biased, because the computer likes the SEC. So there's that. You got to take.
I do.
I'm excited for this.
This is beneficial for
If
everybody.
this ain't UConn, I riot.
Well, then, you know what? I'm not even going to spoil it for you guys. I'm going to go ahead and build this out for you. I'm not going to give you the team name to start off with. I'm just going to lay everything out because the last thing I want is for me to give the team name and you think I'm crazy and just check out. I want you to hear me out on this one, okay? So first things first, it all starts with the quarterback. This is a former 2020 recruit. He initially committed to Georgia Tech. That's where he enrolled. He was actually was recruited by Georgia as well. He went on a visit prior to committing. 6'4", 240 pounds, was listed as a dual threat, and he can run still. This wasn't just one of those phony dual threat markups. This guy can still get after it to this day. This past year was his first year starting. He threw for 2,793 yards, 24 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions. Also rushed for 364 yards and 8 touchdowns. All right? So,
I
again,
haven't placed this guy yet, have you?
the profile is just chef's kiss, all right? They return a wide receiver at 85 receptions for 957 yards and 8 touchdowns last season on a roster who also had a 1,000-yard receiver. He is now off the roster. They brought in 2 more transfers as well, so they've kind of stocked that wide receiver room back up. Their starting running back this year comes from the SEC, was a top 300 player coming out of high school. The defense has 6 redshirt seniors, and 9 of them have been in college for at least 4 years. The other 2, true juniors. They have 6 upperclassmen on the 2 deep as well. So this is an experienced veteran defense, okay? This isn't just a plug and play. But on top of that, they do have high school recruits. They've had the top class in their conference the last 2 years. They were top 5 the year before that as well. So they've done their work on the high school recruiting trail as well. But this is the best part, and this is what really hooks you in, because if you're going to pick a G5 playoff lock, it has to have the schedule as well to do with it. That's why Boise State was one of the favorites to come out and be the playoff favorite out of the G5 last year. They got Kentucky as one of their out-of-conference games, and they have Washington State. The rest of it is their conference, and Morgan State is sprinkled into that mix as well. So the schedule is easy. They have a very favorable matchup throughout the entire year to where they could be a playoff contender. And oh, by the way, this team's odds to make the college football playoff this year is plus 200,000. So go ahead and lay you a smooth
Plus
$5 on that one, and I'm going to make you some money this year. This
Is Troy?
is Toledo.
Who's
Toledo.
Toledo's quarterback?
His name, gosh, I've already blanked on it.
I was thinking Zach Pyron.
No.
Who transferred to Troy.
Yeah, I didn't.
After transferring somewhere
It's
else.
probably a name that you're familiar with because Tucker Gleason
He
from
played at
Tampa,
Tech?
Florida.
Fox News?
Started out at Tech. And then eventually transferred over to Toledo.
That guy's independent, by the way. But nowadays, I wouldn't know.
You want to talk about the Big Ten and SEC some more?
No, I think I'm good on that. If you want to,
But no, I could see Toledo, for all those reasons, kind of making a playoff run. Again, it's so hard to wrap your head around any of these teams doing it because it's basically the game is now who has the 11-1 record as the Group of 5 team and has that one player that everyone pays attention to. Obviously, last year it was Ashton Genty. Years before, with Cincinnati when they did it, it was Spencer Sanders. or not Spencer Sanders, Spencer Riddler, whatever his name was.
Desmond Ritter.
Desmond Ritter. I get him and Spencer Sanders mixed up a good bit. The Oklahoma State quarterback.
They both suck, so it makes
And you
sense.
also mixed in a Rattler there, I think.
Yeah, you wanted to go Spencer Rattler.
Yeah.
I mean, but like, listen to this schedule. And again, this was like the final point for me where I was like, okay, I like their quarterback. I like the weapons they have. Their experience on defense. That has to mean something in the MAC. And then on top of that, you're at Kentucky week 1. You can lose that one and you'll be fine. But I think they might have a fighting chance in that one. I mean, it might be a dumpster fire
If
for
Toledo
Kentucky this
beats
year.
Kentucky in week 1, I think Mark Stoops will get blasted into a rocket into outer space.
That'd be pretty cool. Then it's Western Kentucky, Morgan State,
That's a
Western Michigan,
$44 million ride to the moon, brother.
Akron, Bowling Green, Kent State, Washington State, Northern Illinois, Miami of Ohio, Ball State, Central Michigan.
Big dubs in the chat
Just saying.
Yeah,
for
that's
Toledo.
Look, I already
That
got
sounds
Hunter
like a
saying he'll lay
playoff
some money
team to
on
me.
it. And again, I'm not saying to go lay
I mean, they did
$1,000
beat
on
the
it.
shit out of an SEC team last year. That wasn't no like,
Yeah.
oh, turn the tube on. Mississippi State's about to get upset. No,
a
brother.
butt
They were
whooping.
getting drug.
now.
So, yeah, Toledo, lock it in.
It is
G5
Mississippi
playoff
State.
representative.
I like that, J. Will. I like your all your reasonings are correct. I just hate how right you are, and the fact that not from the fact that just
No,
like
I know what you're
Toledo has a legit shot at being a playoff team this year. That's where we're at in college football. Toledo, the Toledo Rockets.
What are you, a conference elitist or something?
When it comes to that shit, yeah, dude.
I mean, if you need any more reason, they were by far the best team to use in mascot mode on NCAA 14.
Apparently,
Stanford.
Apparently, my UConn Huskies don't have an opportunity to get to a conference or a playoff this year because they're not in a conference. So that's unfortunate for my Huskies. But if my Huskies go 13-0, 12-0, undeniable. Got to put them in.
For sure.
Got to.
I mean, you got to put any Group of 5 team that goes 12-0.
Got
My worry is what if we had 2 of these teams?
Ooh.
They'll do it, dude.
What, double charity case?
Mm-hmm.
It's like the 2 Santas standing outside of the Walmart during Christmas time. What are those guys called?
Salvation Army.
Yeah.
The guys that ring the bell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guys that ring the bell. Think they're hiring?
I think those are volunteers.
Don't think it's hiring. I think you volunteer.
Can you wear that beard or do you have to grow that naturally?
You can wear it.
Okay. I think I'm a shoe in then.
Most of the time I see like women out there doing it. Like they don't even have beards.
Word up.
Just, hat and little elf gown and
No more glass ceilings these days.
shaking the shit out of that bell.
That's awesome.
I miss Christmas time, dude. I'm ready.
Yeah.
Already? It's June.
Do
you want to do this national nostalgia tape?
you want to do this or do you want to talk about whether or not college football coaches might get fired even if they make a playoff?
I mean, if we're going to cross-pollinate with basketball, I ain't going to stop you.
All right. So, Tom Thibodeau just got fired today by the New York Knicks after having the best season in Knicks basketball
In 25
in the last
years.
25 years, 2.5 decades. And they fired the man. Shit canned him. See ya. Bye. Get out of here. Which got our brains wondering, is there a possibility that a college football coach could potentially get fired even having made a college football playoff?
It's certainly possible, but
I think at 4 programs, it's possible. Only 4.
only 4 programs.
Only 4 programs in college football could your football coach possibly get fired after having made a college football playoff. And these are the 4 football programs. If Georgia made 5 college football playoffs in a row, having not won a national title, Kirby Smart would have questions. People would be looking at him.
Questions for sure. They're not firing Kirby Smart.
If Steve Sarkisian continues to get on the doorsteps of a national championship, say 5, 6, 7 years in a row, doesn't win, they might fire that guy. Ryan Day would have been fired if he lost to Tennessee this year.
Ryan Day is absolutely the correct answer.
He would have been fired.
But it's because of how much he stumbled in the regular season.
Again, this could happen at one of these other programs.
For sure.
If it could happen at Ohio State, it damn sure could happen at Texas. It damn sure could happen at Georgia. And it damn sure could happen at Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
If Kalen DeBoer gets to 4 or 5 college football playoffs in a row as a 10 seed and just can't get over the hump, they're going to fire that guy. I think.
I'm in agreement with it. I mean,
But those are the only 4. And by the way, I think that's irrational. Even at those 4. I think
agree,
that's goofy. But I do think there's a portion of the fan base that will eventually call for it.
it's not exactly irrational, though, because you're asking people to put money into your program to get you players to win a national title.
Yeah.
And if you're not delivering on that promise, they have some ground to say, you're not getting the job done. We need someone else to do this because that's what we expect around here.
Clemson would fire Dabo. No, they would not.
Clemson went 9-3 this year, made the playoff by the skin of their teeth. Everyone
And
was
lost by 20.
and people were like, Dabo's back.
What a coaching job. Best coaching job he's had in decades.
Yeah, no, Dabo.
Dabo's back.
See, the problem I have with your Georgian argument is that Dabo Sweeney and Kirby Smart are two people that I think are on that staff for as long as they want to be.
Had Kirby Smart not won those 2 national titles, he's getting the smoke.
Oh, absolutely. But because
Which is the situation with the Knicks.
Mhm.
Tibbs hadn't won.
Correct.
So they had the willingness to fire him, even though they got to the playoffs.
I think now Ryan Day's kind of in this immunity too, because it's coaches that haven't proven that they can do. I think you might be able to throw Oregon's Dan Lanning into this.
Yeah.
If you go 5 or 6 years of having showings like you did this year too, where it's like, hey, we had a really good regular season and we got just murdered.
It's literally Doc Rivers. Like that's who that's who this is. Is Doc Rivers has never been able to get the job done, and Doc Rivers has continued to be fired because of it.
Yeah.
I mean, so if you continue to be a Doc Rivers, then yeah, I mean, there's a good chance that you might get canned at those programs.
Lanning's the only football coach that's held in high esteem that hasn't, keeps losing these games in the playoffs, right? Sark and Lanning, are they the only ones that keep getting there but can't get over the hump?
Yeah, but they're also like Sark is in his 4th year.
Yeah, both of them are still. Same timelines.
And they're
they were hired
infancy.
the same offseason.
I believe Sark was a year earlier.
Yeah, check out.
We have an Oregon fan in the chat actually, and he says, as an Oregon fan, Dan Lanning is never getting fired if he makes the playoffs.
That's why I didn't put them in this list.
Yeah, and I don't think any coach should be fired for making the playoffs.
And I think that should be stated again.
I also don't think you should
It's
fire.
irrational.
I also don't think you should fire your head coach for making the conference championship for the first time in 25 years.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's Jim.
Here we are.
So, James.
What?
James Dolan, Knicks owner.
Oh,
I don't know who.
I think it's James Dolan, goes by Jimmy. Will you Google that for me?
Yeah.
See how much of a round ball knower I am.
I have no idea who the Knicks owner is.
James Dolan.
There you go. Ball knower. This guy.
Good job.
I only know about him because they make fun of him. He's in a cover band.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wait, he's in a cover band?
Yeah.
Cover
He's
band?
a billionaire that's in a cover band.
Cover band
He's
for
a
who?
Knicks fan now.
And I don't know what band he covers, but he has a band that he's so rich that they're just like a regular old dude's band, and they perform in massive venues with nobody at them. Just look up James Dolan's band.
Yeah, so I'm looking at JD and the Straight Shot.
JD and the Straight Shots. There it is. It's named after himself.
I'm trying to find what.
Oh, you won't. That's what I'm saying. They don't produce known music, but he is so rich and has such little man syndrome that he takes his band around and does performances.
Oh, so wait, they do their own music. They're not a cover band.
Well, I guess. But yeah, I'm sure he does covers too.
I'm sure, yeah. But they make I'll definitely check them out actually. So we'll see.
Let me know how JD and the Straight Shots plays.
We'll see. We could honestly probably play that on here and actually no, James Dolan's got money.
Yeah, James Dolan's got money and lawyers and time. You know what I mean?
In time.
In time.
And,
speaking of time, we got a whole another hour here on the network, and it is our local hour. We got a commitment to talk about here on the other side of the break. Welcome into Talk the Dog, the show where we find a bone to pick and a take to give. These are not hot takes. These is dog takes. Can I talk that dog? What's up? You really like that? Let's shut up and grind some tape. How much money do you want to have? I want to have the kind of money to where I can start my own band.
Not care what other people think.
And not be good.
We don't know. The verdict's still out on if he's good or not.
You think the verdict's still out on JD and the Straight Shots?
I'll report back on Thursday as to whether or not he's
Please, I'm itching to hear that update. Welcome into our local hour. We got a loaded one for you. We're going to open with the commitment of Justice Fitzpatrick, the corner out of Florida.
Yes.
Out of Florida. We're going to take a look at that one. I'm going to refrain from calling him Minka Fitzpatrick's younger brother, even though he is. Kirby Smart and the first-year starting quarterbacks have a really, really good track record. We're going to talk about that tonight. What are you most excited to study this season for Georgia? What are the biggest targets left remaining for the University of Georgia? We're going to talk about that tonight as well. If you could pick one player in college football and put him on this team, non-quarterback edition, who would you pick? Georgia baseball making the show notes tonight as well, and we might mess around and hit them wheel topics. But let's go to the board first, and let's talk about Justice Fitzpatrick. All right, NFL pedigree, 6'1", 185 pounds, sub 10.8 in the 100 meters. This is a dude, okay, 4-star prospect. Picking between all of the best schools. When I see players like this committing between Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, Texas, Oregon, hey, you're the top corner in the country, okay? Or it's like one of 3 or 4 guys. You've got committable offers to the top 5 programs. You're one of the top 5 corners in the country, okay? That's the way I look at these things. I'm going to go ahead and tell you that's probably him right there.
Yeah, plays at St. Thomas Aquinas.
Okay. So, yeah, we're playing big-time high school football as well.
Mm-hmm.
I love how our eyes are in the backfield this entire snap,
Oh,
guys. Eyes are in the backfield the entire snap. We're about to murder someone, aren't we?
No, play rec.
Huh?
It's a double pass. Watch.
Oh, really? Eyes in the backfield. Watch this. He's peeking. Now we're going to recorrect. We're going to pick that ball off. This is a bad throw by that guy. But I liked how our eyes were in the backfield the entire play right there because we're in zone coverage. We're playing with our eyes. Same thing here. We're playing with our eyes in zone coverage. Now we're going to break and make a tackle. Stick our nose in. We'd love to see that. Still in zone coverage. Eyes in the backfield. Now we're going to play tough on the edge. Set an edge, turn it back inside. If he doesn't want to cut back inside, then we are there to make the tackle. Same thing here. We're going to fight through a block. I think that's against St. Francis right there. We're going to kick return. Look at Big Beefy kicking that ball off. We'd love to see that. High school football. See some twitch right here. Open the gate up. Let's see what you got. Come on, man. You got tackled by Beefy. This is what we love most about high school corner tape. Oh, we got a ball out right there. Hell yeah. Kirby, would we like to see our head on the outside there? I know we forced a fumble, but if we're just talking just general fundamentals here, right? We want to vice tackle this, right? We got inside leverage right here from the safety. We're supposed to be the outside force player, right? I don't necessarily love
because look, as good of a play as this is, you cause a fumble and everything. Watch what happens if you don't make this tackle.
Exactly.
If you don't get the ball out.
We no longer have an angle right here for 23.
That's a broken tackle also.
It is.
Like that kid's still running on his feet.
Correct.
Great job on getting the ball out. That's the most priority. Not a great form tackle.
Exactly. We got to have the right angles. And again, we're nitpicking here, but we're trying to apply what's going to happen in the next level here. You know what I love about seeing – that's a great play. Again, corner tape. We don't know how he actually got there. I love seeing that this kid's going to be really, really comfortable in zone coverage. And I love that because we got to have instincts to know, like having played it a lot of high school corners are just, hey, go cover that guy. And then we get to college and all of a sudden, hey, we're going to play cover 2 against this. We're going to play, cover 4 against this. Actually, we're going to rotate. If they motion this, we're going to play cover 6 over here. Actually, you're man unless he goes, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a whole bunch of different rules when we get to college then. Just go cover that guy.
Yeah, there's 3 things I've seen on this tape so far that make you feel very good. 1, not afraid to go in and make tackles. It actually seems like he enjoys doing it. 2, very comfortable in zone coverage. 3, communicates a lot.
4,
every single play you see him, he's pointing to someone, he's communicating with his teammates.
4, based off the physical measurements, we know physically gifted enough to play bump and run. If you're a 10-6 100-meter runner at 6'1" with NFL pedigree, buddy, I know you can bump and run. I know you can run with wide receivers.
And the bonus is who your brother is.
Exactly, right? The bonus is who your brother is, how long have you been around high-level football conversations. All those things apply here.
Ooh, we get some goal
A
line.
little special teams play. Oh, we're going to crib this, ain't we? Oh, please crib this. Please crib this.
Oh, he's cribbing that.
Oh, he's cribbing that. That's against Chaminade, Jeremiah Smith's high school team. That's in a state title game. They're playing that at FIU. See, here's bump and run. This is man coverage. For a fact, we know he's in man coverage. Okay, guys? We see the difference between this and the other reps that we've seen. Look at his eye contact. Look at his body language. He is staring at that wide receiver. There is no doubt about he will be traveling with this wide receiver throughout the rep. Let's see how close he stays to this guy. Right into the hip, immediately off the line of scrimmage, and we're playing through the hands. That's a great rep right there. Same thing here. This is Meg coverage. Look, we're sliding the safety away from him. We are in man everywhere he goes principles right here as a corner. Let's see how we play it. Okay, gets the outside release, gets back into the hip, head back around, plays the ball in the air. It's a great rep. And put the seatbelt on him. Is this Lakeland right here? This is Lakeland, Florida. I can guarantee you the guy in front of him right now that he's in bump and run with, that's a sub-11 second 100-meter runner. I can guarantee it right now.
Outside leverage, interesting.
Yep. Oh, because we're bailing. We're actually playing cover 3. Look at that, Kirby.
Mm-hmm.
So we're advanced enough to be able to disguise coverages as well, okay? And he's got deep thirds right now, guys, and he's going to have the ability to drive down on this slant. I guarantee he disrupts this football, okay? Bang. Now, the only way we're able to do that, guys, the only way we're allowed to show press man coverage at the line of scrimmage and be comfortable enough to play the deep third is what? If we have elite speed, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have elite recovery speed. We know even if we are in bump and run, we show false bump and we get off into that deep third, we're not going to be pressed vertically because we can run anything down. Come on. Oh, you being finicky tonight. Boom, break that up. Good little offhand right there as well.
I would have liked to have seen this at the start of your tape.
Yeah, the man coverage stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm with you. Sorting out the stack right there, driving down, making a good tackle.
Great tackle.
Yeah, man, this is tough, right? Because everyone plays this a little bit differently. It looks to me like they're taking the point here with the nickel. Okay, you're going to play outside flat. You're going to play deep third. We're going to replace that hook player with that inside linebacker. Okay, so you're running with him wherever he goes, and you're going to play that outside leverage right there. Whatever drives into our flat, we're going to key and click on right now. Actually, they took him and disrupted the point, and they rolled the linebacker over to the middle third. Okay, so played it a little different. His responsibilities are the same. He's got to drive to the flat when something arrives. Now, I believe his defensive coordinator is Jason Taylor. Will you look that up for me? St. Thomas Aquinas defensive coordinator. I believe it's Jason Taylor. Hall of Fame edge rusher.
Not afraid to stick his nose.
No, he's not. He'll show up. We like that about him.
Says it's Steve Rampy.
Oh, so Jason must just be the defensive line coach out there. No, excuse me. Jason Taylor is an off-field analyst now for Miami.
Oh.
He left St. Thomas Aquinas. I think he's now with the Hurricanes. We're going to drive down on this route right here. Boom. I've seen enough. Y'all seen enough?
Yeah.
Clean, polished, high ceiling, high floor. Good football player. Must have, take, priority. Great job by Georgia solidifying that one. I do think it kind of not necessarily caught them off guard. I think they knew the official visit went really, really well. But, I mean, we got caught off guard by this.
I think the
rest of the beat got caught off guard.
Everyone got caught off guard by this. Like, Hayes Fawcett put out an edit, and we were the first ones to report anything on it, and it was 5 minutes before anyone got anything out.
Yeah.
So, definitely a surprise. But, again, this makes you feel better if you're Georgia. After, losing Jackson, to Jackson. Cantwell, excuse me. I don't know why I said Arnold.
You're good.
Losing Jackson Cantwell, losing Mark Bowman to, supposedly, we're just keep buying players, recruits from us. Getting a guy like this, who obviously has a very big pedigree, is very, it's got to boost your self-esteem a little bit if you're Georgia.
Yeah, I mean, it's a top 50 player in the country. These are the guys that feel like you're known of. Like, these are the guys that you get in recruiting classes. These are the ones that you feel like, if we're in the mix here, I feel like Georgia should get those types of players, and this is certainly one of them. And especially knowing that you're already building momentum on the recruiting trail in the early parts of June after your first official visits weekend, that's a good sign.
Hey, and by the way, this is the first blue chip guy Dante signed at Georgia, right?
I believe so.
This is a good sign.
That's a good trend in the right
this
direction.
This needed to happen.
Mm-hmm.
He needed to get one of these guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you got a good
now,
one
look,
to
the
get.
25 class wasn't all that great, right? It was the DJ kid that ended up going to Alabama, the really long, tall Dejan Lee.
Yeah.
Right? They call him DJ. Really, really good corner. But outside of that, weren't a ton of blue chips last class. They needed this bad. At least Dante did.
Yeah.
Dominic Kelly was a reclass kid, but he would have been in this class.
Yeah.
So.
You had a super chat from earlier, by the way, from DGD podcast.
Oh yeah, the $20 super sub from DGD. I'll put a mark on the board for him.
I think we've already written his name like
Robert,
3 or 4 times.
Rob, at one point, I think back in 2020, I had to tell Robert, like, hey bro, no more. Like, I don't do that to a lot of people. No more. No more Super Chubs for you.
Stop
big
giving
dog.
us some money.
The wife gonna get mad. Just put it in your pocket. How many content creators you think are gonna be doing that? Hey, no more gifteds.
Cut it out.
Cut it out. But yeah, so I'll put a markup on Robert for y'all. Shout out to Super Chub on that one. What are y'all most excited about studying this year for the University of Georgia?
I think the biggest one for me, and the first one that I have on my list, is how early and how impactful are Elijah Griffin and Isaiah Gibson specifically for Georgia this year.
Yeah.
But kind of just the freshmen in general, because that's always a big talking point. But I think with those two guys, knowing that, one, they play positions that they're likely going to need, and also, two, feels like they're good enough to get on the field early. So just seeing how early that happens and how impactful they become in
I think
year one.
Elijah Griffin plays game one. I think Juan Gaston will be on the field at some point this year as a true freshman. When will Taylor get on the field? Those types of
If
questions.
75% of the roster doesn't touch the field in game one, you had a bad day.
Oh, that's true. I meant like first real like game action.
Okay.
You're going to see the first freshman to play real minutes is going to be Elijah Griffin. Like, he's going to be in the rotation early. But outside of that, I don't see like any guys that are lined up for immediate playing time.
Yeah.
You know, I think you're going to be forced to put Juan Gaston on the field at some point. He's just going to be one of your best five. He might be one of your best five right now. Who else? Maybe Elias Williams in red zone situations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ethan Barber's probably going to
I
earn the
could
right
see
to
Ethan
play.
Barber getting some.
You think
I think-
Wiley gets any run?
Just, man, there's just so many good X's in the room right now. Now, we're going to have this conversation a little bit later. I mean, we can have it right now. Are they going to run a 2X system? Are they going to play Noah Thomas and Colby Young at the same time?
Bobo hasn't shied away from it before, so I
No.
would think that if he has the opportunity to, I think you'll definitely see it.
I think it fits your quarterback skill set the best.
Yeah.
I think Gunnar Stockton is most confident throwing the ball downfield in chunks and then incorporating, quick game elsewhere through RPOs, slants, different things like that. But what he wants to do is drive the ball down the field. That's been his MO from day one of playing football at the quarterback position. He's an explosive seeker. That's what he's trying to do. And I think pairing Noah Thomas and pairing Colby Young on the field together would be the best situation for that. And then everything else is incorporated through Zachariah Branch and the tight ends. Everything that needs to be right now goes to Zachariah Branch and it goes to the tight ends. Everything down the field goes to the two big bodies that could get loose.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, if they are a 2X offense, then yeah, C.J. Wiley's got an opportunity to play this year.
Mm-hmm. I'm just interested in general to see what Mike Bobo does with this offense because you have a different quarterback. You have new weapons that we just talked about you can utilize differently and go with different packages on the field. Your running back room is also pretty different. Adding Josh McCray to that room and having Nate Frazier as your main corner piece. Now, there were some games last year, obviously because Trevor Etienne was hurt, that Nate Frazier was your bell cow back. But having a guy like Josh McCray is it kind of seems like you're going to get back to the quote the lightning and the thunder type running back.
Also, there's been this like one dude that just keeps like just begging Georgia to run wide zone and just like implement it at some point. This guy's been studying Georgia, I've been told, for like 7 years. And he's just like, Jesus, when are they ever going to put wide zone in? I saw that there might be inklings that they might be putting it in.
Who told you that?
I was just a guy. Just a guy. A certain ball knower. That'll be intriguing if it happens.
That would be more, but so that's more so of you wouldn't run that with McCray, right?
No, it'd be more of a Nate Frazier
Nate
thing.
Frazier, and pretty much. I think you could do it. Yeah, Cash. I was about to say Cash would be a good addition to that.
Chauncey Bowens would be really good at it too. I think people forget Chauncey Bowens is a 10'8" guy at 225 pounds.
So in other words, it fits a lot of your room to run that type of.
Yes. And it helps your offensive line out tremendously.
Yeah, that too. The next one I have is who is playing star on 3rd and long. This was a big discussion that we got into during the spring of is it going to be Jonel Aguero? Is he going to hold down that spot? Is he going to be the every down player at star? Or are you going to see Dalen Everett roll into the at star and then you can see some of the other cornerbacks come onto the field on 3rd and long? Who is going to be playing that on 3rd and long specifically is something I'm interested to see.
I had that note as well. I'm laughing at the chat. Please, can we run more wide zone later at more? Can you run it? Can you run some of it? Just give
Can
it
we start?
some of it. Yeah, can we start before we start asking for more?
I'm interested to see what this cornerback rotation looks like for the first few games before it seemed like they finally get it ironed out. There's always been some like 3-man rotation early in the season, and by then you have your 2 solid guys. Like last year, obviously Daniel Harris took over for Julian Humphrey about week 6 or 7. That Florida game was obviously the big one. So I'm interested to see what they do with obviously Dalen Everett's a guy, but you've got
Daniel Harris, Ellis Robinson.
Dude,
DeMello
DeMello
Jones.
I might be having a stroke on air, by the way, because I've just swung and missed on all the names.
It'll happen
tonight.
to you like randomly on topics you know.
I saw it number 1 played in G-Day.
Yeah.
Could see it. Couldn't think
Clear
of
as
a
day,
name.
Couldn't think of a name. Wouldn't draw it either. Ever. It would just never pull for you.
Yeah.
That happens. CTE.
Oh no, it's hitting me.
Got a little ism.
Dang.
It's hitting me, dude.
But yeah, so where will they be finding their pressure from? Is this football team going to become a simulated pressure team again? I think they are.
Yeah.
I think you have to. I think you have to provide more of an exotic look to hopefully get more busts and more blow-throughs and more miscommunications among the offensive line. I don't think you're going to be able to line up and get pressure the way you have the last 3 years. That's the way I feel about it.
I think a lot of people feel that way, just considering what you lost last year. And, I mean, not only in the NFL draft, but what you lost in the portal as well. I mean, it makes sense to where, you lose that many bodies and that many really good bodies. You're going to have to probably change things up.
You hit on the slot defensive question. I have the same one. I think they're going to rotate a third corner onto the field if they really, really have to.
But even if, like, you didn't feel like you had to, it almost seems like you should anyways. If you feel like you have that many good corners, like, why not put your best coverage guys?
Well, you're also thinner than you've ever been at safety, and that's kind of one of my next questions is what kind of a leader does KJ Bolden become in year 2?
Yeah.
You've lost Malachi Starks. You lost Dan Jackson. It's KJ Bolden. That's really the only proven commodity in that room. You'd imagine Ja'Cory Thomas is going to be good. You're hearing good things about Zion Branch. I'm back with names, by the way, dude. That was a good rattle off. But that's probably where you're going to see a lot of the star come from on third down because you're thin at the safety position. So, 1, what does it look like on third and longs? Who's that star player? And then 2, how much of a leader does KJ Bolden become, not just for that room, but for the defense as a whole?
And I do think a lot of your answers on third down defensively are going to come from how do you specifically use Chris Cole? What are we doing with him defensively and offensively? Obviously, Noah Thomas and Colby Young's usage is very, very important. Obviously, Zachariah Branch's usage is very important. How are you using Dylan Bell? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think we go into 2025 offensively if I were out there thinking we got to force feed Dylan. But we can create defensive mismatches or at least, what's going on with Dylan? I felt like that was a main catalyst in their success on the road against Tennessee.
Absolutely.
And the whole game, Tennessee was on their heels wondering, where the fuck is 86 at? And, oh, by the way, where's that 19? We got to guard him. But
oh, shit, he's back.
Yeah, oh, shit. The dude with half a leg is back. We got to watch out for him.
We need to try to break
James,
his ankle.
Make sure you spit on him. What? Yeah.
We need to try to break his – you remember that guy?
Yeah.
Dude, that's a lure.
Oh, gosh. I forgot about that.
Give me one reason why we shouldn't try to break Brock Bowers' ankle. Holy shit,
He
dude.
wants to play. We'll break it. That's his choice.
That's his prerogative.
That's football, you sissies.
Dip in his mouth.
Hell yeah, brother.
That guy got obliterated on Twitter. Just like sent into the stratosphere, dude. They destroyed
They
his
dox
life.
him?
Oh, like they
Found
were like
the physical address?
physical. Not even that. Like apparently he got arrested.
Anything and
earlier.
everything they
Hard
could
to
find.
pin down the address of a trailer, no?
They were getting into the family life, dude. It was rough. That guy got
cooked.
destroyed by Twitter.
Hey, you don't come after Brock Bowers.
I was about to say, of all players
Honestly,
you could have went after.
I mean, you could talk shit about a corner, but don't you dare go after Brock
I mean,
Bowers.
other than Jordan Davis, is he the most likable Georgia Bulldog in the last 5 years?
I mean, he's more likable than Jordan Davis.
Really?
Yeah. He's more popular, therefore more likable.
'Tis facts.
All right. I'm not going to argue,
I got another question. Does the year 3 rule apply to C.J. Allen this year? We've talked about previously where linebackers in their third year at the University of Georgia, you typically see a surge. You see a surge in their draft stock, how well they play, because they just have a better overall understanding of what their role is. And also, we've heard rumblings during the spring of how CJ's kind of taken on that leadership role, how he feels more comfortable leading that group right now. So I think that you're kind of setting yourself up for that. And we all know that CJ Allen is a great player, but his potential is even more. I mean, you see the flashes of it. If it's that consistent this year, then that's a true difference maker for your defense.
It's also a thing for Raylan Wilson.
I saw while driving to the Georgia baseball game the other day, saw CJ Allen being pinned up against the fence line by two older ladies that were obviously Georgia fans that had bumped into what they clearly identified as a Georgia football player. And seemed like a cordial conversation. I think he had signed some autographs. So good on CJ. People person.
Good for him, man.
Did you see where the minor league team hid Roman Anthony in a laundry basket to get him past all the autograph people?
You're going to make fun of me for not knowing who Roman Anthony is.
He's a prospect, one of the best prospects in the MLB right now. But there's these grown men with their binders of baseball cards waiting for Roman Anthony to walk out because when he blows up as a rookie, I'm going to sell all of it. And they hit him in a laundry basket.
Dude,
they make me sad.
We got a binder people story I want to say.
Yeah.
When we were out at the Adidas All-American game, Christian.
Oh, I'm thinking the combine.
No, dude, this is way worse. I get why the people at the combine are there.
This is different.
I've never in my life seen anything like this. We're at an Adidas All-American practice at some community college in the middle of San Antonio, Texas. And by the way, impromptu, not supposed to be there.
Yeah.
We're rescheduled to go to this community college for this Adidas All-American practice. Justice Haynes is practicing. Veron Haynes, Justice's dad, who, by the way, played 5 years in the league.
Mm-hmm.
5 years in the league. The definition of a cup of coffee in the league, okay? We go out to the parking lot. Jonathan and I are chatting Veron up.
Oh, I remember this.
And all of a sudden, this dude comes up to us with a 3-inch binder and says, "Hey, Mr. Haynes, can I get your autograph?" Flips through this 3-ring binder and finds a rookie card of Veron Haynes and gets him to sign it. This ain't Marvin Harrison. This ain't freaking Peyton Manning. This is Veron Haynes.
That is Mr. Hobnail boot, though, so watch how you're talking.
But it was a Pittsburgh Steelers rookie card.
Hey, dude.
This was not a Georgia fan in Texas was like, oh, Veron Haynes is here.
Can you sign this video, or can you sign this photo of you in the Tennessee game? No. This was rookie card collector Veron Haynes autograph
in a community college parking lot
on a random January.
Yeah. I need to start keeping my J.J. Watt rookie card on me.
I mean, even Veron looked at us like, "What the just happened?"
That was weird.
That was weird.
She's like, that man's gonna sell that Veron, right?
For $2 on eBay.
No, that puppy's one of one. That's one of one right there, man.
What do you think a signed Veron Haynes rookie card
That's
goes
as
for?
rare as it gets. And you have the story to go with it. Man.
Talk about a niche audience.
Somewhere there's a subreddit where that's a legendary story.
You got another super job.
Yeah. What do we got here? Get a better weight bench. Who needs one? I clapped 225 cold start yesterday. Come on now. Ken from Cummings already on the board. We can put a strike on him.
Strike.
I do want to know if Drew Bobo is going to play as good as I think.
I wrote that question down just in case you didn't say, because I was almost certain you would.
Is he going to play as good as I think he's going to play? Where's Ken from Cumming? I know my man's on this board. Right here. He's already boxed. We'll put a nice little check next to him. And my man, DGD Podcast, is right here as well. We're going to put a nice little box around my man.
I think DGD Podcast is on it like 3 separate times.
All right, we'll put 2 checks on him then. Get your due. Jonathan, did you go to the range today?
No.
You didn't go to the range today?
No. My honeydew list has been stacking up on me a little bit. Been planting some flowers.
Well, tomorrow nobody's expecting you to have a good golf swing. Me neither. Okay.
Oh, that's okay.
They're just expecting your takes to be on point.
I did get a few practice swings in the front lawn.
Oh, that's all you need.
Yeah. But these are new to me clubs that I've never used. I have not played in 2 years, have not hit the range. So this is going to be electric. It's going to be something to behold of.
Don't worry. Free range session tomorrow. We don't have to pay for it. We can just go up there and hit some balls before we play.
Let's go. Get a couple swings in.
Yeah, get a couple.
I also
cuts.
found out I only have 5 golf balls, so gonna have to buy some before the round as well.
That's all right. We'll put it on the tab.
Ooh, man, luxurious.
That's all right. We'll find a way to get it done.
Damn, dude. Chad has no respect for a marriage. What the hell?
For a what?
They're calling J. Will whipped.
Bro,
No,
what?
he's married. There's a difference.
It was my
really.
anniversary gift to my wife to plant her flowers. It's not whipped.
What kind of flowers were they?
Vinca and hydrangea.
Little green thumb on you, huh?
Hydrangeas.
My first attempt at it, but wanted some flowers in the yard, so I said, "Hey, I'll do that. I'll take care of it. My gift to you."
Hell yeah. I mowed the lawn again today.
I need to do that as well.
Had some excess grass clippings on the top. Felt like they needed to be addressed. So we got done with that. What do they do with Josh McCray and Nate Frazier? How do they balance that?
I think it
What
becomes.
does that look like?
I think it becomes you get like I said. I mean, you can call it lightning and thunder, or what Detroit has going on, Sonic and Knuckles, where
Whoa! I would hear this.
you haven't heard this.
Sonic and Knuckles?
That's the nickname for Jameer Gibbs and David Montgomery. At
Never
Detroit.
heard this.
They big Hedgehog fans?
I think so. I don't know how it
Checks
started.
out with the era. I mean, I played a lot of Sonic growing up
Yeah.
on the Game Boy.
Anyways, I think that's kind of what you become with Georgia, where you have this speed guy that first and second down gets you 3 or 4 yards, and then on third and short, you've got this power back that kind of blow through.
Knuckles was the orange character, right?
Correct. Knuckles was like the one that like smashed in the ground and like caused like
Promptly.
Knuckles is red.
Yeah.
You're thinking of
He's like-
Tails.
Tails is the one that fly
orange.
around.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Still
like
got the
Tails.
knowledge.
Tails was dope. Yeah.
Look at us.
Look at
We
us.
know a lot of useless knowledge about a lot of things.
Apparently the chat knew it too. They're all about correcting me with the
See,
knuckles.
like
Yeah,
we
dude.
attract the right people. We have the right audience.
I never got big into Sonic growing up, but it was always cool to watch.
I always liked the sound that the rings made when they popped.
Yeah, very satisfying. That was
Yeah, that's
something.
exactly what it sounded like. Oh my god.
Decent?
No.
They might strip our audio for their next movie, so you might want to copyright this.
All right, Kirby Smart outlined the future of college football. What do we got on this?
He did. So
J. Will Max Bench live on air? No. We
No.
do not have workers' comp.
Jay, what do you think your max bench is?
I don't know. I have not.
My test for
benched.
general strength is, can you bench your body weight?
The answer would be no, probably.
What do you weigh?
Last time I weighed
196.
220.
Whoa!
Oh.
6'6". That'll
Yeah.
do it.
Oh, yeah.
That'll do it.
I don't look. I don't look 220, but I carry it differently.
Yeah.
You can get at least 205 on the bar though.
I don't know. It's been a minute, dude. It's been a minute
All
since
right.
I've
Well,
done some
while I
bench
read this
press.
off, Jay, we'll go start warming up over there. So Kirby Smart's on the kind of the summer, going to these charity golf tournament tours, and obviously when he goes to those, you get interviews. And I believe the latest one he was on was a Rick Burgess show. So Rick Burgess was kind of asking him about all these sorts of things: recruiting, time, golf swing, and he asked him, "What do you think?" With all this recruiting stuff, what do you think the future looks like for college football? Talking about how paying players is becoming more prominent. And Kirby Smart outlined something that I had personally never thought of, and I figured that most of our audience hadn't thought of it either. So Kirby Smart, here's a quote from him. "What you're going to see is infrastructure go downhill. For instance, everyone's got this pot to spend from. Some schools are going to be able to spend from the pot and not hurt their infrastructure. That's their nutrition staff, the food the players eat, the strength staff, the academic staff. Other schools are going to say, you know what? We're going to spend on players and not spend on infrastructure. So the experience is going to be diminished." And he kind of goes on to continue about this. The other quote, this is where it was really interesting for me. "You're not going to get a nutritionist. You're not getting academics. You're not getting the best foods. The schools that are going to have to say, you have to do that with your own check because we are paying you. You have to do that on your own. So now you're going to have some infrastructure that builds, not the same infrastructure that builds a core around the player." So basically what Kirby Smart is saying is that schools that are going to prioritize spending loads and loads and loads and overpaying these players to get them in the door are then going to tell those same players, hey, nutrition, academics, all these other things, you got to front that on your own because we're giving you millions of dollars a year.
By the way, this is exactly how it works in the NFL.
Yep.
There are certain organizations that take good care of their athletes. There are certain organizations that don't give a shit about them. And that's the way it operates, the league. Now, used to, everybody was in an arms race, a facilities arms race. Can we
that's-
build the nicest weight room?
Yeah.
Can
And
we
that's-
build the nicest whatever?
That's kind of what Rick Burgess talked about here. It's like infrastructure. Everyone was talking about facilities. Now it seems like NIL.
Yeah.
And Kirby Smart kind of mentioned that, like, infrastructure is going to decrease tremendously because teams are prioritizing NIL to get players in the door. So when they do get in the door, you're not going to have as much funds to spend on taking care of them once they are in there. So it was an interesting outline for me because we talk about it and we see, you know, every so often how Georgia gets a new weight room and Alabama's locker room and all of its facilities are so good. You're probably not going to see that much
Now,
anymore.
look, I trust LeBron James to spend $1.5 million on maintaining his body, but some 18-year-old, I don't trust to think like, bro. When I was 18 years old, the idea of stretching to me was hilarious. Like, no, when you fucking go out there and do it, I
Stretch?
feel great, buddy. What are you talking about?
Stretch? Just lift
Ice
faster.
and stem, baby. What you talking about? I feel great.
Just lift faster.
So the idea that like I'm just gonna give you, I've seen the money on the college level impact development in a worse rate. Obviously, I see kids that got way too much money right now. Just something simple as like food. Oh, I'm hungry. It costs $40 to Uber Eat a burger. Who gives a shit? I get $100,000 a month. You see what I'm saying?
Or I'm working out so much and I'm running so much.
Well, that's been there for years.
I know, but
that's been there for decades.
exactly.
But the idea now is like I can Uber Eats Longhorn whenever I want. I can Uber Eats Zaxby's whenever I want. Oh, I really like the wings and things meal. I can eat it at midnight now.
The birthday cake shake is back.
Yeah, like I can do all of those things. Who has that squat PR? I can't believe that's how old Cam Green gets on the board, but that's how old Cam Green gets on the board. What was your max squat?
My max ever was 415.
Yeah. My max ever was 5'10", and I thought my vertebrae was going to shit through my right through the floor.
Yeah, like a Mortal Kombat fatality.
Yeah, just done.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
immediately after that, I racked it and never squatted again. I don't think I've squatted since.
Wow, like you went out on top.
No, I wouldn't say that. I went out on the, if any weight ever touches my back again, I'm going to break my vertebrae. Old Cam Green. Shout out to old Cam Green. What were we talking about before we started talking about?
Just how infrastructure is going to change in this era
Yeah.
of college football.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with Kirby in the sense that all of that responsibility now, if we don't have the budget to do it, is going to rely on the player. Now, Georgia's never going to have this problem. I mean, he's a have. He's talking about have-nots. He's talking about Wake Forest. He's talking about Georgia Tech's facilities going down the drain. He ain't talking about Georgia's.
Well, it's not only that. Like, again, we talked about this yesterday. You have an X number of teams that are clearly using their budget to get players into the door. We would have to imagine that Miami's doing this. Now they're private and all that. Miami did this. USC did this. That money has to come from somewhere. That money has to come out of other budgets elsewhere where it's like, hey, you know what? We don't need this X number of facility. Like there's a viral clip that goes around every now and then where it's like, this is College X's facilities compared to the Kansas City Chiefs or the New England Patriots. And it's a very nice $1 million weight room in college for Georgia. And then it looks like a Lifetime Fitness. And it's very clear where the money is being spent for other players in infrastructure. So it makes sense to me that you're going to see this.
I've heard hey, watch out, we might have to cut women's sports to pay these athletes. I haven't heard, hey, watch out, you might have to self-fund your own MCL repair. Mm-hmm. You know? Mm-hmm. I don't think it's going to go that far.
But like, hey, we don't have a nutritionist for you. You want team meals and stuff? Like, hey, we're paying you millions of dollars a year.
We don't have a chef.
That's part of your salary now.
Yeah. Spin the wheel?
Well, you already
like you already
spin,
did.
so we don't have a choice now.
Hell yeah. Well, we'll get back to the Kirby because did he lay more things out? Or
He
just
also
that?
did talk about. He basically hit the same points. What
can-
is one change you would make to UGA's base uniform? I missed an N in there.
Wear black?
No. Like this is like the.
Duh. Bring the bones back.
Ooh.
Give me bones on the helmet.
Give me the black stripe in the helmet that they wore in the 90s.
Nah. Give me the bones. And or can the breeches actually get silver again?
That was going to be
That's a
mine
good
as
one.
the
Put some
actual
flakes in
silver
that bitch,
britches.
baby. Make them things shine.
Yeah, that's what I would want. Is
I
the
also-
They're
actual-
called silver breeches, not gray breeches.
I also miss the stripes on the sleeves like they had in the 80s. Very nice. Like
Big
her,
block letter guy.
I like the block letter. Like the 90s block
letter
letters.
with a shadow.
Dude,
Oh yeah, talk to me.
beautiful.
Bring back the Nike Vapor socks.
Literally,
The
all
Vapor Elite cleats.
all I really care about is the bones. Just give me the bones. The bones on the helmet look so sick because it was one of the only helmets in college football that had a sticker that didn't inundate the helmet. Mm-hmm. It was always like 15, 20 stickers on the back of that thing, never like full helmet bone. Mm-hmm. You know. So
I do miss those, like the Stafford Marino era.
Yeah. Just like make Georgia helmets great again.
Bring back the Nike combat jerseys.
You're doing a lot tonight. You're treading water tonight, dude.
What do you got?
Oh,
give me what?
I was going to say the silver britches. That would be my number one thing. But I said bring back the Nike combat jerseys. That should be your permanent home uniform.
Well, no. Obvious rage bait take, and it still worked. I mean,
it always will.
You talking about the red unis?
The ones they wore against
red unis, not even Georgia red. It was
red.
It was like
red.
Power Rangers, dude. It was disgusting. And we lost to Boise State.
I will say the red Power Ranger.
And what
that
sucked?
guy fucks.
This is what sucked. It was the only alternate jersey you had in NCAA 14 if you used Georgia. You didn't even have black unis. You only had the freaking Nike combat.
The silver
jerseys.
helmet. There's potential there. There was potential with the silver helmet, but the
you know what potential means, Kirby? Potential means you just suck now.
Well, believe me, those uniforms sucked at the time. Potential. There was plenty of potential. Also, I feel like if you just like matted their helmet one time, that'd be kind of sick. Just one time.
Like a matte red?
Yeah.
The white helmet does look kind of sick in the photos. I don't think it would look good in like 100 white helmets out there.
No.
Yeah, you're kind of right.
Maybe
it looks good in the one visit photo with snow in the background.
Yeah, I was going to say, if there's ever a day where Georgia plays a road game against...
And it'd have to be a night game. You can't wear white in a day game.
A road night game, and in the first round of a playoff in Penn State or Ohio State or something like that. A Big Ten school, so we can finally get the Big Ten and the SEC to stop fighting each other. White, all white. That would be the perfect time. But, that'll never happen.
I'm just glad they don't do like a annual color rush where you have to wear it.
I think even the NFL was like, oh, these are kind of...
Yeah, we got to stop with this.
These are kind of shitty.
These kind of suck.
Do the throwbacks instead. I would like to see like that 1980 throwback that wore against Arkansas. That was pretty good.
I didn't like it.
The
red pants threw me off.
It clashed a little bit.
Here's why it clashed. Because there was no black stripe on the helmet. If you had the black stripe up the middle of the helmet like they did in the 90s, would work very well for me.
How come Kirby only does unique jerseys against teams he thinks he's going to beat?
You just answered the question. He doesn't want to lose in them. Nobody wants to lose in them.
He did it against Cincinnati in the Peach Bowl.
Yeah, exactly my point.
I don't think many Georgia fans expected to lose that game.
No.
I mean, you were winning by...
the result is what it is, but going into that game, I think everybody's
Jewel Pod hit a 60-yarder to win that one, didn't he?
Like
not
58.
quite a 60-yarder, but...
It was career long for sure. And then, I think people forget...
No James Cook in that game. Critical error. Critical miss.
No, that's not what I was going to say.
No, I'm just kidding.
Jack Podlesny's field goal put Georgia up by 1. Georgia won by 3 because Azeez Ojulari got a safety on the last play of the game.
Oh, yeah.
This is correct. It was also one of the greatest catches I've seen in a long time with George Pickens in that game.
Oh, yeah.
Fully laid out, flipped after catching it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even
Did
know
the same thing in the
I don't
national.
even know how he contorted his body.
Yeah, he
like
did
that.
do the same thing in the national
I
title
think
game.
my favorite George Pickens play came from that game, actually, and was nothing. JT Daniels threw an interception in the red zone, and George Pickens
Crashed out.
body slams the cornerback.
Yeah, crashed
Like
out.
5 yards away from the play, picks him up and slammed him down. She's like,
Did George Pickens invent the term crash out?
I mean,
Like the kids use it these days, but they're talking about George.
it's either him or AB.
Oh,
AB is
yeah.
definitely a crash
You walk out shirtless on an NFL game.
Hyping up the crowd.
Hyping up the crowd.
Let's go.
The road crowd, by the way.
Yeah, it wasn't
The
even in
road
Tampa.
crowd.
It was at the
It
Jets.
was in New York, yeah.
Yeah.
AB might be the
Yeah, he had
That's the
crashing
king of a
out.
crash out.
king
Yeah.
crash out.
King crash
I'm
out,
out of
AB.
here. Screw this.
Close second, George Pickens?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Dude, literally when George Pickens got drafted by the Steelers, like, oh, they just got AB 2.0. Which
Traded him a little too early, but,
I think they saw the road it was going down, like, oh shit.
Yeah, I hope George just locks in. I just don't know if it's gonna
Contract
happen.
year, baby.
It is a contract year. Damn, he's been in the league that long.
Mm-hmm.
What do we got next on the
I've noticed a trend with Georgia and their first-year quarterbacks that I wanted to bring to the table. First-year starting quarterbacks, I should say. Just plain and simple. There's no magical stat to this. It's simple as Jake Fromm, first-year starter, 2017. Got to a national title game. Stetson Bennett in 2021, because we're going to call 2020 a wash because you used anybody and everybody you had on that roster just to make it through the season. So 2021, we'll say that was Stetson's first time being the full-time starter, a national title game. Carson Beck in 2023 was very successful for Georgia. And now you have Gunnar Stockton going into his first year as a starting quarterback. You've already seen some promise for him. But, I mean, Kirby Smart over his career has done pretty well with first-year starting quarterbacks.
Can I throw water on your fire?
I guess.
What in the world?
Bro's doom scrolling in the middle of the show.
Yeah. Twitter does that thing where even if you close the app, it plays the videos. Thanks a lot, Elon. What were we talking about?
A first-year starting
You were
quarterback.
throwing water.
Throw water on this fire. So let's talk about this. In 2017, Jake Fromm's first year as a starter, they had the most ideal situation roster-wise for Jake. I mean,
100%.
2017's roster and situation was far better than 2018 and even 2019, I would argue. Right? You had Roquan coming back. You had Lorenzo Carter coming back on the defensive side of the football. All those veterans, both of the running backs, really, really good offensive line.
Big wide receivers.
Big wide receivers, Javon Wims, all those guys.
Yeah.
So that was a really, really good year and situation for him. That was even better than year 2 for him.
Yeah.
I would argue the same thing for Stetson. That 2021 roster was ridiculously loaded, historically loaded, and so much so that it had to require a jump and a leap for Stetson personally in year 2 for them to repeat in 2022. In 23, I would say the same thing for Carson Beck. His surrounding core in 23 was far superior to that in 2024.
Mm-hmm. The only thing that I would push back, in 2023, like Brock Bowers and Ladd McConkey were there, but they were also missing for a good portion of that season.
Even when they played 6 quarters together.
Yeah, and even when they were there towards late into the season, I mean, we saw the SEC championship game. Those two guys, those were not the two players that Georgia fans have been seeing for the last 3 years. And I would say Georgia's roster fits Gunnar Stockton now.
Yeah.
I think it perfectly fits what he needs.
That's where I was going to go.
Is the running back room is what it is. It's solid. The wide receiver room, as it was for Jake Fromm, it's perfect for what they want to do with Gunnar Stockton.
Look, we don't know what 26 is going to look like for Gunnar, and we assume he's going to start next year for this team as well. But you're right. The roster could not fit him better offensively right now than the way that it does.
Mm-hmm. We're also forgetting Jacob Eason in 2016, guys. Come on.
Ups and downs.
Yeah, I mean that's a.
There was moments where it was, that's going to work, and moments where it was like, oh no.
I mean that's also a very, very, very wide difference from all the others.
And I think, too, like what people forget is while Kirby Smart did ultimately land Jacob Eason when he got to Georgia, that was not really the quarterback that he had selected or his offensive staff selected. Georgia's in the mix, and they had to land it.
While we're on the discussion of Georgia's roster around Gunnar, it's very clear to me that the computer seems to like Georgia a whole hell of a lot more than the rest of the national media.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
ESPN's FPI had him ranked 2.
Yep.
With the second best odds to win the national title.
Correct.
Yep.
The rest of this sports analytical body does not view Georgia the way the computer model does.
Nope.
Our stage included.
Because the computer doesn't have to know what Gunnar Stockton looks like to predict how the season goes.
The computer doesn't know the difference between the starter that's the 5-star, the star that's been there 2 years or that hasn't started yet and hasn't proven his worth and hasn't shown you that, okay, this guy's a legitimate player. Everyone, and we've said this time and time again, I know we've hammered at this point, but all the analysts I see jumping ship on Georgia are doing 2 things. One, they're citing stuff that happened last year where they got pushed around by Ole Miss. They got destroyed by Notre Dame. They got handled in the first half by Alabama. And they're citing the fact that there are no proven comeuppance, which is fair. There's not a guaranteed first-round pick in the roster this year at the start as where we stand right now. There's no Mykel Williams. There's no Malachi Starks where we say, regardless, these guys are first-round picks.
Marsh in the chat, I don't want Gunnar starting. Ryan is way better and will transfer if he doesn't start.
What have you seen of Ryan Puglisi at Georgia, Brooks?
Considering it's
18 pass attempts in a spring game.
Okay.
That I think he completed less than half of.
He threw like 40 in the spring
40
game.
in the spring
game. I think
game.
he completed 18 of them. I mean,
So not a lot.
Not a lot. Tremendous talent. I love Ryan as much as the next guy. I'm very clear on where I stand on this. Okay, the coaching staff that gets to see the guys in practice every single day, I'm going to lean on their right to make the decision there. Also, I have always been of the belief that if somebody leaves the program because they're not playing,
They weren't playing.
he wasn't playing. So I've never been one of those like, oh shoot, so and so left. Well, if so and so left, it's because the guy that's playing is better. Normally, that's just the way it works. Now I know that one time that guy went to New York as an Ohio State quarterback, so that just means y'all get to question everything the rest of eternity. But I don't operate that
There
way.
was also the previous quarterback that transferred off your roster, and we saw how that turned out as well.
I mean, the three.
Oh yeah, the 5-star.
Yeah.
Yeah, that retired.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's happened twice.
Yeah, but no, the JF thing,
Overshadows everything.
and he was a first-round draft pick.
I think that
He's on his third team, but don't he just got $40 million. Don't, and it's
I think
the
two.
Jets.
I think two natties really diminished that crowd a lot of.
Yeah. Look, and I don't mean to single out my man Marsh right there because it's not just you. We watched, for Christ's sakes, the Dallas Cowboys are doing this right now because Joe Milton throws a pretty ball. Just don't do it to yourself, man. Be a little smarter than that.
Mm-hmm.
Don't fall victim to the algorithm.
I mean, Georgia's most successful seasons so far in Kirby Smart's career have been with players that haven't been labeled as guys that have NFL ceilings or NFL potential. Those have been your best seasons, and the most success you've had is with those types of quarterbacks. Now, you also had success with Carson Beck, who we believe to have an NFL future somewhere, or did at least. But most of your success has been with a quarterback that many would say, well, he ain't going to cut it in the NFL. He's not going to be a starter in the NFL. It's okay. You don't have to have that in college football to be successful, to win national titles, to win the SEC.
No, I mean, there's been too many Georgia fans that the night after you win the Natty or the night after so-and-so has a really, really good game, they come out and they say, I'll never question Kirby Smart again. I'll never do this. I believe in it. I have full faith now. I'll never doubt. But then as soon as Carson Beck throws his third interception of the game, it's, why isn't Gunnar Stockton? This is ridiculous. I mean, there's thousands of people in the Georgia fan base that do that. So
They're not going to do it to Jared Curtis, though, right?
oh, buddy.
As soon as he gets on the field, everything's copacetic,
Man,
Brother.
and the guy's just great. We never have to worry about him. Pick and stick.
can't wait for January.
Just root him on and hope for the best.
Man.
Never ask for a replacement, right?
We're
That's how
gonna
that's work.
we're gonna see how
You just wait till that algorithm play hits for Jared Curtis.
we're gonna see how mature the Georgia
Jared
fan
Curtis,
base is.
off-season workout, just arrived in Athens. Ooh, that ball's pretty.
Ooh.
Look at this throw he made in a dome with no
Wearing
pressure,
sweatpants
wearing
and a
sweatpants,
backwards hat.
Yeah, but
standing
did
in
you
front
see
of a
that
trainer.
beanie, though?
This ball has insane velocity. Incredible, all caps.
Guys, Georgia's baseball team had some flaws. Couldn't hit left-handed pitching to save their life. Starting pitching was a little bit skeptical throughout the regular season. Hitting was relatively streaky. Bottom of the order wasn't necessarily national championship contending, but whatever. Top 7 seed. And they had one bad day, and season's over, right? You have one bad day against Duke, and then you're playing from behind the entire regional, and now all of a sudden you're going home, and you were a 7 seed overall, set up to go to a super regional. Murray State was supposed to come to town, and now your fan base thinks you're a failure, and it was a waste of a season. And that's how it happens. But that is college baseball. College baseball is have a bad day, have a bad weekend, season over. Doesn't matter what you did for 60 games leading up to that. Have one bad weekend, game over, season done. Expectations ruined. Guys, college football's already there. College football was there for a long time in the BCS model. You lose one game, season's screwed, yada, yada, yada. Nowadays, you have one bad day, you have one bad week, you have one bad performance in one playoff game, season over.
I mean, that's how it's
I don't know
always
what the
been.
observation is, but I think for me, the observation is just because you had one bad day doesn't mean you had one bad season. which is the way Georgia fans have applied that.
That's the angle is, look, it was already hard enough to win a national title. You just made it even more difficult with playoff expansion. So, again, it was already hard to win a national title. It made it even more difficult. So just because you don't win a national title doesn't mean that you failed that season.
And well, let's also be realistic here and honest with ourselves. This stems from the fact that 95% of Georgia Bulldog fans did not tune in, did not really care, did not pay attention to baseball till a few weeks ago and was like, oh, snap. Georgia's going to be a high seed in the tournament. Maybe I'll invest time. Maybe I'll personally check in now when I never have before, so that when you do finally check in and they do that, they shit the bed. It's that was a waste. I didn't need to do that at all. I could have just gone back to not caring at all.
Yeah.
Georgia football wouldn't do this. If Georgia football had the exact same season this year, basically, they went and won the SEC championship. You were a 2 seed heading into the playoff. Had a bad day against Notre Dame, and now there were some fans that said, "Oh, this season was a failure," but there's also But there's also a lot that said, you know what, at least we have 2 wins over Texas that we can hang our hat on. Yep. At least we can buy the SEC championship shirts. At least we can say things like that to where at least we have an 8 overtime win over Georgia Tech.
Those were the rational fans. Some of the fan base called last year a failure. Some of the fan base called last year the worst season since 2020.
Well, so that's correct.
You see what I'm saying, though?
No, I get what you said, but
It's like if you don't win a title, we suck. Throw the season away. Can't be doing that. It's too much.
There were more lows than you've had in the last 3 years as a Georgia football fan, but the idea that last year was a failure is absolutely ludicrous. I do think it's interesting that we should talk about the bad day, though, because you are right. The bad day isn't any more consequential than it was 10 years, and probably it's less consequential now because you can now have a bad day in college football. We just saw a team have literally the most embarrassing upset in program history. That was their bad day. They still went to the national title. We saw the other team have a horrible upset, lost to a 500 rival in-state, or not in-state, but hated rival, lost them for a 4th year in a row. Like, those are usually games that torpedo a season. That killed you in the BCS. Do you know how many 11-1 teams were told, sorry, you're not going to go to the national title this year because you had that one bad day?
And I feel like Oregon had that one bad day against Ohio State.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Literally.
Sent home packing.
Mm-hmm.
Literally.
So, I mean, the bad day, and that's again, going back to all this that we've talked about before, that's the problem I have with the expanded playoff is that you can now have more bad days, and the bad days can be as bad as you want, but as long as the bad days aren't within that 4-game period at the end of the season, you're fine.
Yeah.
So, it is what it is, but, the bad day's always been a big problem for sports in general, but college football in particular, there were no bad days. You had one bad day, your season was in jeopardy.
Yeah.
Like Florida, the Florida Gators are a perfect example of this. Florida in 2012, the thing people forget, went 11-1 in the regular season. Only loss was to Georgia, a top 10 Georgia team that they lost to by 8 points. That was their one bad day. The only loss they had. Florida in any other era, the playoff era, the 14 playoff era, the 12-team playoff era, top seed, number 4, like they were on the outside looking at the end of the year.
Florida's just Minnesota of the South, so. Doesn't matter.
Oh, you don't mean that.
I mean, Florida and Iowa are the same football program.
I don't know if I'm.
I mean,
our people are all right.
What's the difference between Florida and Michigan State? I mean, seriously.
Are we being for real? Are there actually
What's the difference between Florida and Washington?
Are there actually Big Ten capers out there that are saying this?
Yes. There's an Ohio State beat reporter who I respect the work of. Okay, today compared Minnesota to Auburn.
Minnesota to Auburn.
And that right there could not further accentuate my point of we just see this sport differently. We see the sport differently if you think Auburn and Minnesota are the same caliber of college football program.
Well, look.
I can't speak to you.
And the problem is, and I saw this tweet, and it's because that if you simply take records and you compare them, then yeah, you can draw comparisons between Auburn and Minnesota. But let's put it into another perspective of Georgia going undefeated in the regular season in 2023 looked a whole lot different than what Florida State did in 2023. Those are not the same football teams, despite the fact that they both went undefeated. Those are 2 very different seasons. One was domination. The other one was, man, we had a couple close calls, but we got lucky in the end of it and both missed the playoff. But it's not the same season. Florida going 6 and 6-6 in the SEC is not the same as Minnesota going 6-6 in the Big Ten. You can just because the records are the same does not mean those are equal football teams.
Look,
Yeah, but they got Charlotte in November.
Boo-hoo, cry me a river.
It's again, you are fighting a fight on other sides of the fences.
Yeah.
Build a gate, play 1 or 2 regular season games, agree to go to 8 conference schedules. Because guess what? Big Ten could play 12 conference games in the regular season, and the SEC would still think they have a harder schedule. The SEC could play 9 conference games like the Big Ten wants them to, and the Big Ten will still claim that their conference is harder, their schedules are harder. There's no debating that. The only way you can mitigate that is if you say, no, we played you in the regular season, we beat you. Texas went to Michigan last year and beat the shit out of you, or Texas played Ohio State this year and won. Whoever wins that game is going to have major bragging rights for conferences. So, I mean, again, just play in the regular season. Cut out a game for you guys to play each other so you stop bitching at each other from the other side of the fence to where the only time you play a game is either in the playoff when anything can happen, we've talked about before, or a bowl game where neither team really, really cares. That Missouri win over Ohio State in 2023 doesn't mean that much.
Bro, Minnesota ain't won a national title since influenza was the #1 killer in America.
What's the #1 kill in America today?
I don't know. Probably drunk driving. I don't know. Weapons?
Probably.
Heart disease?
Gotta be hard.
Gotta be heart disease.
Yeah.
Us Americans love not taking care of ourselves. It's our favorite pastime, honestly.
The Gophers hate Big Good since it was the influenza.
Minnesota is the only team, I believe, to three-peat in college
Yes,
football history.
they
though,
are.
So
We only know that because Georgia was on the precipice of doing it.
Yes.
yeah,
And it was in the 30s.
And it was about the last time anybody cared about him.
Dang. You ain't rowing the boat.
you didn't row the boat back in 2019 when they beat Penn State?
Hey, I got some
Were you rowing
elixir
the
for
boat?
you.
Dude, I low-key was.
You want some of my elixir?
What's in
Dude,
that elixir?
senior year Christian, when they beat Penn State, I was like, this team's fun.
You were rowing boat,
I
huh?
was rowing-
You were grabbing an oar?
I was grabbing an oar. I was
Hey,
rowing
get
the
in
boat.
and row, baby.
Dude, this is like the first introduction to PJ. Like their first year, they popped off. Like when the opposing team would kick a field goal, they'd put that dumbass gopher on the scoreboard. Minnesota was a fun team in 2019. I'll die on that
And
hill.
then in 2024, their head coach walked in and said, hey, you guys are a bunch of losers, but if you drink this Sprite in this cup right here, we going to beat USC this week.
Again, I am no longer holding water from Minnesota. That is long removed.
No, you're holding elixir.
I'm not holding anything for PJ Fleck.
PJ said, let me talk to this cup.
Don't ask what's in my cup. It's Sprite Zero.
Disgusting, dude. If you're gonna drink soda, just drink soda. Don't try to cut a corner around it and make it zero. And it's healthier.
That was your take?
I mean, about Sprite Zero, yeah, it just made me think of that. I mean, hey,
I like the occasional Sprite.
Michael
I got a top 5 for you before we close the show.
Ooh.
If you could take any one player in college football and put him on UJ's roster, who would you be picking? Non-quarterback edition. Here's my top 5. Number 5, Boo Carter.
Ooh.
Boo.
Number 4, Parker Brailsford. Number 3, 15 pounds lighter, Peter Woods. Number 2, 2 inches taller, Colin Simmons. I'll take Colin Simmons either way, but Colin Simmons. Number 1, Caleb Downs.
Makes sense.
There's always some type of stipulation.
Boo Carter is
in the
not
top 5.
overrated. Boo Carter is properly rated. Boo Carter is the best nickel defensive back in the SEC. Boo Carter is not overrated.
I would take Dylan Stewart. I think that if you apply,
That's fair.
if you put Dylan Stewart in Georgia's edge room right now, you'd feel totally different about that.
First 10 sack guy in 2 decades.
Potentially, yeah. But I mean, it's a program changer right there.
Centurion Perkins or Jake Slaughter.
I don't know why I got so mad at Boo Carter being overrated.
That was weird. That was actually like pretty weird. You haven't gotten that worked up the entire
I think it's because he's one
show.
of my favorite players to watch.
I
He's
don't-
so impactful.
I thought Caleb
And
Downs
look,
was.
I would imagine that everybody like the
Bro,
overrated Boo.
if he wore red and black, the chat right now would be comparing him to Javon Bullard.
Well, and the most recent game people have seen of Boo Carter was against Ohio State, and that entire defense got torched.
That's true.
It's no different than when the Falcons drafted A.J. Terrell. His most recent game was against LSU, of all people. He got torched by their wide receiver room, and everybody's like, we just drafted the worst corner ever. This is a horrible pick, and now he's one of the best corners in the NFL.
Who was the corner that wore 14 that year that actually gave Jamar Chase some problems?
That would be one Darian Kendrick.
No. He wore 11 at Georgia. 14, I think his last name was Daniel.
You're talking about
DJ
the
Daniel?
Georgia
DJ
corner.
Daniel.
DJ
DJ
Daniel.
Daniel gave Jamar Chase the work in that football game. Almost got drafted off of it.
I thought you were talking about when DJ Daniel played in 2019.
No, DJ Daniel actually gave
Darian
that
Kendrick.
LSU team some run at corner that year.
Darian Kendrick didn't
Actually
have a
survived. The rest of the group got cooked, Keely Ringo included.
Keely Ringo was not on that team.
Who got worked that football game then?
That would have been like your Tyson Campbell.
That would've been
J.R. Reed,
that was
Richard
Tyson
LeCount,
Campbell.
Yeah.
Tyson Campbell.
Those guys.
Yeah, not a good day for that group.
Look, we're not talking about Boo Carter, what he's posting on Instagram, all right?
Oh, he's a rapper.
Well, and he talks shit on Instagram before games.
Talk your shit, King.
Just don't get blown out.
Just don't get blown out.
Would recommend that part of it.
But talk your shit, King. Appreciate you guys for being here.